Hello, and welcome to Spotlight, recorded here live on Grapple Patreon. I'm Benno.
And I'm JP.
I'm taking a risk with the copyright gods there, playing a bit of AJ. I was in the mood, mate. I think it's worth it. I've double-checked it. It doesn't seem like TNA have copywritten that. It does feel like one of those TNA ones where they've let it go, or at least that version of the song, the rap version of the song. We'll find out in the morning. It might be added out to the audio version, and people might be going, what's he talking about when he plays this generic song? But yeah, that's why you should tune in live on Patreon, mate. You get the full AJ Styles, mate.
Well, no one tell Garrett Kidney. I'll say that much. Like, because I mean, he can easily have a word with old Carlos over here. There it is. I have to think he goes in reverse on there as well. But
we need to get you one of them hats, mate. I think you'd look great today. I think it would suit you perfectly.
Well, Blacksmith are having a sale. They're like 15% off, and they had like a TNA football jersey, and I was tempted, and then I remembered what TNA is at this point in time, and as we'll get onto with the review, and I went, I don't know, but I if I can find that, I'd wear that hat. That'd be all right. But then you'd have to explain to casual people what is TNA. Yeah,
you just really like tits and arse, mate. In the words of you on the weekend show, you just really like Bill and Grant. You really like Tommy Gravison and Lee Carsley. You're just a big fan.
Exactly. I mean, the thing is as well, and it's not a good look, is it? Even just publicly, people can assume, well, he does like them, but do you really want to wear clothing that dictates that as well? And it was always and it's bloody Russo, isn't it? Russo was the one leading with the fucking name as well, and I know, and it's stuck. It's there for life, isn't it? As well, until it becomes it's NXT&A now, isn't it? At this stage, so it's got the NX in front of there as well.
You christened it, and it's turned out to be correct. I'm just saying, it's just noticing the chat there. Obviously, sad one to start off on. Apparently, Ozzy Osbourne's died. As we've gone live here, that's a sick now, considering they just did that gig, didn't they? With like every band ever playing. Yeah, except for a couple who were complete gobshites. But Jesus, that's crazy.
It is a bit crazy. I mean, in some ways, it's not surprising.
No, it's not. It's more because he's been on the telly, and who did that happen with recently? There was somebody wrestling. It was like the Royal one, wasn't it? There was, but it's just like, that wouldn't have shocked me, but it does shock me because I've literally Sabu. There it is, because I've literally just been watching them. Obviously, that's a. And then you think still a shitter though, yeah. It was Motley Crue, wasn't it, that refused to do his gig? They fucking feel bad now. Oh, it looked like a cracking day. He was great as well. He was. I watched a little bit that he was on. He was in fine form, but considering everything and his little throne, Jesus,
that's it, isn't it? I suppose in some ways, if you think, okay, it's a life well lived. It's like 15 lives rolled into one with that bloke, and what a way to go out with that farewell gig at Villa Park. I mean, that's like a massive fucking deal, like to be able to go out like that in some ways, and it's so like it's a good life. It's a decent knock considering what the shit he would have had floating around in his system as well at 76. So rest in peace, sweet prince. And you chomp off a bat's head for us like, down here.
We're not having one of them weeks. Fucking Gazza's obviously had been in bad health as well, hasn't he? Hopefully kicks out as well. Jesus, like you said when you saw him, he didn't look the best. Oh, good now.
Yeah, I know. So I mean, hopefully he's getting better soon. He's getting better as well. But I mean, it's. I think it's. We've spoken about this before in the past. It's just the nature of having so many celebrities around. I mean, this wasn't a problem for people in the 1850s. If somebody had done, it was just.
I mean, getting past your 30s was a problem, then, mate.
Oh, mate. I mean, walking out with people chucking shit out onto the street. If you lived into your 30s, honestly, that was a job well done, and you just stepped over corpses, didn't you? Whereas these days, because there is that kind of like, everything is so globalized. We're all entirely aware of who all of these people are as well. Yeah. So
I was saying that on like the recent Benno and Hamlet. That's the other thing about it, isn't it? That like the older we've got, like we're still into what we're into, but like say your kids and the generations after us, because of infinitely copyable media, unlike us in like the 80s and 90s where we just like what was right in front of us and on the radio and on the telly. They also like all the old stuff we like because it's all at the fingerprints. It's no surprise that some of the smaller bands that we used to like can now run stadiums because they've just gotten bigger. Or Oasis, a gigantic band, can run a stadium and fill their retirement coffers probably for the next 5 years because they've got everyone about our age who love them. except for Gareth, but including Gareth's wife and everybody younger who's going to see them as well. But yeah, you rightly point out in the chat. Yeah, we did mention Ozzy obviously with the wrestling connection with Mania 2. That is in the Bulldogs, wasn't it? Oh yeah, he does say that. Yeah, crazy.
God.
Obviously, obviously all that stuff as well.
Yeah, God, I'd forgotten all about that. Because I mean, if you mentioned rock style WrestleMania manager like early one, I'd always end up thinking Alice Cooper and Jake the Snake. That's always WrestleMania 3 is the one that comes to mind. I mean, I won't put Cyndi Lauper into the rock category. I think that's doing the genre somewhat of a disservice. Not that she's awful, but
I think we fell apart a long way though, haven't we? With like these stars, like. Feels like All In. I thought I'd like and we're going to be talking about TNA to open in a second, but I feel like All In had the record on like everybody gets a special entrance, and then Slammiversary was like hold my beer, and they just got like fuck. I don't know who half of those people were were doing the intros and doing everything they were doing, including the gospel choir that I'm sure we'll talk about. Is Whoop That Trick allowed in church? I'm not sure. Apparently it is. To TNA. They had the world's angriest rapper doing Santana's intro as well. Like I should know who that is based on like maybe in the hip hop guy, but I genuinely don't. He just sounded like PNU's on a really bad day.
Yeah.
It was like, yo baby, fucking yo, cheer. He was just like, he was so angry, he was shouting. Like it was just like, I'm not sure everybody should just because everyone knows a rapper. I don't think everyone knows a SoundCloud rapper, you know what I mean? You can find a rapper. Damn it doesn't these days. They all need to be on your big show.
And can they do it live? That's really it, isn't it?
Yeah,
can I do
what
it?
We found out.
Can I do it Can I do it on a Sunday night in Long Island? In a lot of cases,
a rainy night,
no.
So I think they only get rainy nights in Long Island. I think it's New York, Stoke.
It's lovely. Sure. Yeah, my cousin lives there because my sister was out there as well. I mean, he's doing all right, and he lives out in Long Island, and they're out on the boat, and he's living his best fucking life. That bloke, but yeah, that's like I mean, like we'll talk about when we get into it as well. Who did the national anthem as well? Did you realise who that was?
Oh no, I didn't click on. Who was it?
Tommy Dreamer's daughter.
Oh,
so
right,
okay. One of the twins.
Where's Ravens' kids? Can they not just come out and like put it through a table or something like that? You know, put on the barbed wire.
I would be shocked if Raven has any kids if he's in contact with any of them, other than in a Randy the Ram type way. That feels like that would be how that bloke would be operating there as well. But yeah, it's a wacky show we've got this week. Honestly,
we got so much to get into. Obviously, Slammiversary G1 is also something we will be talking about today. We'll give it some time. WWE, bit of AEW as well. But I don't know. I feel like I want to start off. JP, I want to start hot. I wanted to it's not podcast wars. This is like a friendly podcast war. I need to reply to our friends over at Nuffink and Like It over there. Like, did you hear that this weekend? With Kieran Eddy and Andy having John Atkins of FWA fame on as their guest. My mentions blew up, JP. I was famous for a few minutes. It was like John Atkins on that show came across as like, and that's the story you always hear, like one of the nice guys of Brit Res type of thing who got out when it was the right time to get out, and like I say, just seems like a cracking bloke. And it felt like he spent half the podcast doing like an apology tour, being like, I've got all these demons like that are kind of haunting me because of like stories that happened during FWA and through Brit Res and through knowing Alex Shane, and I want to get them all off my chest. And like one by one, every time he tried to get one out, they were all like, yeah, we heard that one before. Yeah, we've heard the other side of that one before. Only for it to accumulate with him talking about a little show, JP, called International Showdown from the Wrestling Channel in 2005. And he starts going, yeah, and we had the raffle, and you can feel the lads going, hang on. He's like, yeah, we had the raffle, and the first prize was the winner would get to go to see ROH in America. And before any of them can cut in, he goes, yeah, and the thing I've got to confess is that, like, yeah, it was actually rigged, and nobody was going to win, and I felt terrible about it that we were doing that, and we were just going to go, well, this Coventry Sky Dome is so big that no one's going to know that nobody won, and we'll get away with it. Presumably, Alex Shane's brainchild, which I think is what Atkins outright says on that podcast. Only for the lads point out, no, someone did win it. It was fucking Benno, and that is literally the raffle that I won to go see Joe Kobashi. As they mentioned, that you will hear that story from me if you ever see me in person. I will always find a way to shoehorn that into conversation. But like, it was fascinating to hear it from the other side. So it sounds like JP, like obviously I went to the show, entered the raffle, bought one strip of tickets. In fact, I think it was like five that I had. And like I say, in the Coventry Stadium, I mean, is it hold a few thousand? Let's say it held 100,000 that day, JP. It wasn't quite that many. It was upwards of 10, something like that. All the people to win the ROH raffle that day. My number got read out. Me and my stupid red Ring of Honor tracksuit in the crowd. And like I'm realizing now, like I sprinted down. I saw Kerry Silken on the way down, who I already knew from going to ROH trips, and being like, "You won't believe this, Kerry. I won. I'm the one who won this raffle. I'm just going over to the table to claim a prize." And then now that I think about it, I got down to the table and there was absolutely fucking nobody there except for one security bloke who I think worked in the Coventry Sky Dome, who took me details down and was like, "I don't know where anybody is, but I'll pass all your details on." Fast forward, I spend the next 6 months pretty much chasing down like the wrestling channel, Alex Chain, anybody associated with the show going. I mean, I gave my details to the security guy. I won the raffle and I've not heard anything back until I shouldn't say the wrestling channel, because eventually when I did decide to fuck it, I'll get in touch with the wrestling channel directly. Sean Herbert, who ran the channel, got right back to me and was like, Alex Shane should be sorting this out, but I'll take over, is essentially what he said in the end. And I think he gave Alex a nudge to get back in touch with me. And now that I think about it, the first thing Alex Shane did do was go, treat me with suspicion and go, like, not did you really win it, but do you by chance, I think his first try was like, do you by chance have a copy of the ticket that you won with, like the stupid little, like the grey Bringo ticket with the 3 digits on? Do you still have it? And do you have a photo of it for proof? And not knowing me, obviously I did, JP. I'd stuck it on my wall at that point, so I took a photo of it. It was like blue 615 or something like that. It was a number in that range. It must be somewhere. It's probably in my mum's house. And I took a photo and sent it back to him. And like, he did seem a bit gutted. He did seem a bit like, "Oh, yeah, I'll be in touch." 3 months go by, he doesn't get in touch again, and then eventually, like, I chased it up with Sean Herbert at the wrestling channel, because my original plan, I didn't realize this, I was going through the old emails, was to go and see the Summer of Punk and go see some Punk's obviously leaving ROH tour. That I probably wouldn't have known at the time that was what the shows were, but that's what the shows were that I was planning on going to. But it just got too late, and then Joe Kobashi got announced, and I was like, please let me go to that instead. And apparently ROH booked the. I found the old email. It's ROH who booked the flights. I've got that in writing, JP. I have been booked by Ring of Honor. They've paid for my flights over there, and I never heard again from Alex Shane until I organised like the ROH bus trip when ROH came over to Liverpool. At which point he's like, "Oh, did you get your prize? Oh, yeah, that's great, brilliant." As if he had nothing to do with it and he had no clue. But now I'm thinking back, JP, and I'm thinking, was it just that I was that persistent? Like, did I actually not win? Like, I heard that. I feel like I heard that number get called out, but maybe they did call out a duck number, or it was like 605 on like the red strip instead of the blue strip. And I was so excited I didn't hear it, and I ran down, and like I was so persistent, and I'd bothered Kerry Silken so much that he thought I'd won as well. That in the end, he had to just be like, "Fuck it, buy this knobhead some flights," and they paid the 600 quid or whatever it would be to go from Heathrow to New York. But put another spin on that story, because John Atkins seemed completely shocked that there was actually a winner, because it sounds like there really fucking wasn't supposed to be one. Unbelievable.
That's incredible for a number of reasons. Although the one thing that I would probably, I'm sure I've said this to you at the time, the idea that they delayed it so long, they wouldn't have announced Joe Kobashi when you were at Coventry Sky.
No, it was the day it was announced. I was like, okay, if I can't go in July, can I go to this instead? So the delay actually worked out in my favour. I've got to be honest, like it is good. I say delays. Alex Shane doing a runner in one of his emails, he literally says something like, "Oh, it's hard to get wrestling people to pay for stuff." Like, yeah, I know, Alex. I do know that now with 20 years of
like
experience and stuff. Yeah, exactly, like you, mate.
Exactly. Scuzzy bastard on there as well. I mean, I have to admit, I've not heard the podcast yet, and it does sound absolutely like superb, and I do need to get round to listening to it, because he sounds like he's a lovely bloke. The idea though that you may not have won this in the end, and it's just like through sheer bloody minded persistence, makes me think, can we do this for all raffles? Just go, I won. Have you got a copy of the ticket? Sadly not, but I did win.
It was probably called it like Father Ted raffle. It was like calling the bluff. Like they were like, "What? Nobody won. How could somebody have won?" But they couldn't say to Kerry Silken, who'd heard I'd won, "No, there wasn't actually a winner, Kerry," because they couldn't produce someone else. They couldn't be like, "No, he didn't win. It was this person with pink 605 or whatever." Like the potential mistake was. They just had to go with it, because like, what could they do if they were caught in a lie? Brilliant.
Fucking FWA trainee as one instead.
Oh,
as well.
Yeah,
and he decided not to go. He thought, you just put the money back into the company. But having to go all around the houses as well. Having like, obviously Alex Shane's never fucking... if that bloke bought a Weatherspoons meal, I'd be shocked. He'd find a way of that I'm not having to pay for that.
He'd buy it, just be someone else's credit card, wouldn't he?
Oh yeah, exactly. Oh, you just go onto that website.
That's satire, by the way. Nobody sue us. Satire. We're joking.
Yeah, yeah, pure satire. And then, but getting between the Wrestling Channel and Ring of Honor to kind of sort all of this out, and it worked out brilliantly. And it adds now to
That's
what
the
is
legend, isn't it?
the best piece of grapple lore that there is of how you ended up at Joe versus Kobashi. It's just a pity the match was shit, though, wasn't it? That's
the thing. It was a disappointment. And yeah, they did say in the emails I'd be a VIP, and I did stand at the back, but I would have stood anywhere to see Joe versus Kobashi. But that might also explain that there weren't actually tickets that Alex Shane had purchased or anything like that. So yeah, all's good. All's well that ends well. But now I really want to know, did I really win the raffle, or was it all a load of bullshit in the end? But hey,
it's not Father Ted.
Kid, the JP got me way through. Exactly. Yeah, number 11, Mrs. Doyle. That's me.
Exactly.
Found me. Con the con man, so it worked out. And I did notice that when I was sorting the bus trip and that actually was a little bit ducking out. But if we have anybody else out there who knows any more of the story, let us know. I'd love to hear it. But that was so funny to hear back, and shout out to those boys. That podcast is incredible. I said to Andy when we had him on, like that the live show, like it's just you can see that's blown up, and it's all of all of the people who worked FWA and stuff like that over the years are all the ones listening to it. But like it feels like there's a whole new generation of people listening to it as well. Didn't live through those wars as well, so big shout out to them. Nuffink and Like It if you want to podcast the soul,
which is always
cracking gang of lads.
Yeah, cracking gang of lads, always great to listen to them. And I think and Andy has found himself doing so much of like the history of wrestling between him and Kieran, obviously, and Eddie who's on there on there as well. And I've now got an idea in my head for some reason. It would have been perfect if both Samoa Joe and Kenta Kobashi had come out to Ghost Town by the Specials, like that episode of Father Ted, which we can't obviously play that song because that would have worked out perfectly. Oh, the copyright gods would be well and truly on our fucking case.
Don't worry, I've got a corking outro. We can't be taken off YouTube. I met my favourite YouTuber today in Vietnam. Remember I met Action Kid in London that time? I was just sat there having a butty today. He just walked past. I was just like, I'm sure that's Action Kid, like the New York YouTube streamer, and it was. And of course, I got a photo, and of course, it's on my Instagram if you like. But cracking bloke, really great to chat to him and his girlfriend, and just shows you it's like, it was one of them. I was close to not going out today, JP. I was going to do all the fucking homework I had to do for this show today, which I'm not complaining about. A lot of fun stuff to talk about, but there was a fucking lot, and so I need a break. I'm going to go out and get a butty. I'm going to see some daylight today. I'm going to see some outside, and bumped into my hero, mate. It was brilliant, but. Cracking day. I hope you've had a good day too, mate. It's set me up well for the show tonight.
It's been a busy day, as it is as usual. It was the last day for George and Harry at school today, and the last day of George in school at primary school. So, like for them, they finished like early doors as well, and it was all very mental and all very manic. And it was like trying to squeeze in a lot of the homework, like around like kind of naps and stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
So my G1 watching was done with like a baby asleep on my lap and just going, you just stay there.
That's his tradition.
Don't shift.
Most wonderful time of the year. That's the song we can't use anymore with often say. It was a good weekend for it though. Obviously, with us having the Sunday show, we did a 5-1 on favorite rivalries. We should check out on the Patreon. No homework for that one. We just had to sit and think for a very long time about what our top 5 carbs are. I've enjoyed seeing people's top 5 carbs come in. Keep them coming. Maybe I'll read some out tomorrow on the Grapple Live. And fruit too. And fruit, and of course favorite rivalries. But it's always the bit that gets the least response. But I think a couple people called it one of our best shows ever, or one of our best 5-1s ever. Anyway. Yeah. So, hopefully people enjoyed that. We got the Super J Cup coming up at the weekends with our man Connor, and then Bash at the Beach 96 to close off the month with me, Matty, and Hamfler coming up as well. But I've already decided JP coming up in August to lead into our first subject here. Sorry, Sean Waltman, we're scrapping that mixtape. We'll fucking do it in AJ Styles mixtape or Deep Cut or whatever we're going to call it eventually. That is leading off August, as I was very much in the mood coming off our first main subject today, JP, which is in fact Slammiversary, or as you put it on the form, NXT TNA Slammiversary that was, a runaway success from a business point of view. They did really well, obviously, when it comes to filling the place. And obviously, I've been there for Forbidden Door last year on Long Island at the UBS Arena. But yeah, obviously, I think their previous record was it Lockdown 2013. Bully Ray pointed out on the show 7,623 is what they did in the UBS Arena. Just shows you when you've got a bit of attention on you, if that's true, if it's the actual number, which we can get into. Coincidentally, just a bit higher than their previous records, but it looked like it. It sounded like it. The eyes of the world were on TNA for one weekend. JP, like I say, they had the AJ Styles thing, which I can't wait to gush about. That is the good and bad. It's almost like the good of TNA and the bad of TNA we got to talk about today, and also we've got the good AJ and the bad AJ to talk about today when it comes to TNA and that AJ Francis bump we can go with. But I don't know. I feel like we almost need to start with the bad. Again, good and bad. The good is that attendance. And the bad is, as you've written on our notes, TNA is going to continue to TNA. And as a wise man once said, maybe we do need to read that history book. I was getting a bit soft on it, JP, and thinking, it's going to be all right. And then they came out with a New Testament of the TNA history book. And your boy Carlos Silva behind you, who's been doing victory laps this weekend, didn't feel like he was doing much of a victory lap by the end of the night. What is going on? LOL TNA, is it back, JP?
Oh, I mean, I laughed a lot. When I first of all heard about what happened at this show. I was like, because I heard about it before I watched it, and I was like, no, they didn't, did they? And then I remembered, this is what TNA always does. I suppose if you want to talk the attendance stuff, I think it was like, just quickly before we're going into the sort of the overall thoughts on the show, it was quite funny that WrestleTix had it at 6,800 or just over there as well. And like I say, it doesn't really matter in the scheme of things, but it's that WWE association just suggests bullshit, lie, add on an X, just break the previous record that's there. That's the main thing. But it did look great, for that. It did look like a sort of like a big show, even if not all the technical snafus were out of the way as well. But TNA has a long history of, we're going to a big show. You think you might think there's a bit of momentum here. They've got like a bit of a groundswell of support, and we're not going to give the people who've paid money to go and see their show what they want to see. Instead, we're going to do something else. And don't worry, the payoff's going to come down the line at a smaller event that isn't anywhere close to where the babyface big triumph will probably end up occurring, because that's the main thing, because of a storyline, and for no real good reason, as far as I can tell. I can't tell why this would be the case. Like, what is necessarily going to be happening so much, unless this is just all about trying to secure a kind of TV deal. But I have to admit, I laughed at it. It pissed off a lot of TNA fans. But tell me this, Benno, who are these TNA fans?
You and
I think that's it, because I'm guessing from a lot of the reactions. And
you and Matty, though, you love it. You love TNA, really. You do.
But the people at this show, I would hazard a guess, they're as much NXT fans and WWE fans as they are anything with TNA. They're not like, look, because if it was just TNA and there was no NXT involvement and stuff like that, and this kind of a show would end up doing 1,000 if they were lucky. I think that's the other.
That's the give and take of it, though, isn't it? Like, obviously, it's us. Like, again, you coined the read a fucking history book line that I've heard other podcasters repeat, JP. I know it came from you, and like we'll always want to point that out. But you've also got to call a spade and go, like, clearly attendances are up. Like, we can spin the numbers however we like, but like you said, they're not running the UBS Arena without the WWE. Like, and again, it's what you give to get that, and whether it's worth it is the conversation we need to get into today. But it's 100% that, isn't it? It's not anything else. It's not the product. It's not Delirious setting the world on fire with this fantastic book, and it's just pure exposure, isn't it? It's pure more eyeballs, more people are seeing it on either on TV or aware of it because they're following social media, or a fucking Undertaker reference it on Twitter, which is my sneaky reason why I'm thinking that Trik kept the belt so that he could do something. Obviously on NXT, which is airing tonight, and that is something he's threatened on his Twitter as old Undy. He's fucking desperate for the money and all. He might take a TNA contract at this point. We'll see what happens. But you're right. Santana's right there. He's a New York guy as well. Like this so obviously the place to do this big title change, and like it really felt like they tried to play it up through the night, didn't they? Like the JC Jane win, where it was like, oh, for fuck's sake, this is supposed to be a night of celebration, and these bastards, and they were playing it up like it was TNA versus WWE. The commentary were being homers about it and saying how terrible it was, and then it's like, you got the blueprint there. Like, again, I can't wait to gush about the Leon Slater moment. Like, there's your blueprint for like the happy ending. Like, I'd argue actually that probably should have gone on last if this was going to happen, but like perfect, like, made everyone happy. It was fan service. I share your skepticism about how many people in that crowd, because I thought that when AJ walked out, like, he's back in TNA, but what does that mean? It's Trigger's broom, in it. Like I always say about football, it's like the managers change, everything changes, doesn't it? Like the kit changes, the chairman changes, all the staff change. Like, what's the same? The fans, I suppose. In wrestling, you can't even give that, can you? Like, well, Dixie's not there. I suppose Kazarian's there, but he's left and gone away. It's not like there's Jeremy Borash backstage or anybody like that really who works day to day. He hasn't really come back to the TNA he left. He's come back to something called TNA. I guess you could argue the fans are the same, but like you say, maybe that's 20% of the fans that are there as well. But like that's always going to be the thing, isn't it? When you try and sell something like this as like your big homecoming and your big celebration of your history. But like either way, even if it's a work, that's the way you do it. Like that angle is the blueprint for how you do it. And the way they went off the area is just like, what a smack in the face to all the people who turned up, the extra people who bought the show. And it's literally just a baffling ending, isn't it? It's the Sopranos, like screen goes black, but not with any of the smarts that come behind it. It's just dog shit. There's no other way to say it.
Yeah. It was absolute dog shit. And it was the way that they did it as well. With the fake knee injury, but he wasn't being brought backstage. He was clearly in shots when like Hendry and Mike Santana were like throwing their when they were doing their finishes on each other, and was it spin the block or something like that. He's like kind of like discus lariat. And things like that, and you could see him in shot as well. So like obviously knowing the result, you're thinking, oh, okay, it was very much telegraphed, because if he's injured, you're brought back to the back, aren't you? Which I think the thing was, we always expected there was going to be, and it's played into the idea of, well, Trik's not going to be the one taking the fall, so you need to find a way of writing him out. Oh, people there would have thought, oh, they're writing him out with a knee injury, they'll take him back, and then they've played on that as well. It's just, the thing is, this Trik Williams TNA run, it's a really strange beast, because I think he gets presented like he's more of a world champion or more of a champion than Obafemi is. Obafemi just seems to wrestle blokes on NXT, whether it's like, but like even there's a Yoshiki Inamura or someone like that, but he just sort of wrestles people. And it seems like the more active kind of champion and the more relevant one is Trik Williams. But at the same time, that had kind of run its course, and you think, okay, there's a way of getting it onto Mike Santana, and then inevitably, as Joe Hendry, they get like written anyway? Out and so, and they like him, and so he'll end up in NXT anyway. Joe Hendry's going to end up in NXT and then WWE soon enough, as soon as that contract is up, all of that. So it kind of wrote itself. So there's no reason not to do the feel good moment of the guy in New York with his daughter in attendance as well. And then just not go, yeah, we're not going to deliver on it. And my mind went back to, well, obviously they've got previous in world title matches. The ones that came to mind, Raven and Jeff Jarrett, very early doors. And you had that little section, wasn't it, who chucked in like all the heel section, they used to call them back in the day. They chucked all the rubbish in the ring, and you can see Borash running round. Monty Brown is arguably like the most famous one. Like, that was just like, well, why? Why have you gone to, like, this is clearly the guy to go with? And then they didn't. And then they teamed him. They made him join Planet Jarrett, like, very quickly afterwards for no fucking reason. And then Bobby Roode. If you remember, they did that bait and switch, so they built him up. And then he didn't win. And then James Storm won at the TV tapings that happened after. So they do this stuff. And then, and they over fucking... Yeah.
TNA ended ever. Eddie said here in the chat a WWE finish for a TNA main event. I think it might be a TNA finish for a WWE main event, mate. I think that might be what this is. I think that's what we're learning. I think that's the history book we should have all been reading. It's the actual oral history of TNA, because they can never let you be happy, even if you let your guard down.
And in some ways, as long as the JC Jane Massa Slamovich one, I mean, I've got thoughts on that as a kind of separate thing of a way that they could have gone with that. like, you wouldn't have thought too much necessarily about that if it would have ended up with the happy ending there at the end. It's just that these two in combination just really have angered some people. And I saw the cage match rating for the show, which I think was like a 3.14 or something the last time I saw that, which is objectively funny because it's not that bad a show. It's not like 3.1.
That was good. I actually enjoyed it overall, and I enjoyed hate watching the bits that I don't like either. So I actually had a good time overall. Got plenty to say about most of it, but yeah,
same here. But like at the same time, but it's just a way of like you know, you're just rankling your audience for no real gain. Just to say, well, no, come to Boston instead when we go to Lowell, Massachusetts, and we'll do it there. And it's just like, I don't know, lads. Like, why don't you try peaking when it's hot? Like, we spoke about the lockdown show earlier on, and it was like, okay, and that's when you ended up getting your Bully Ray as the head of Aces and Eights. At least you had a big reveal on that show. At least you had like the delivery of this kind of angle. This one is just continuing on an angle and continuing on a story.
Not really though, is it? Because people want to cheer Trik too. So like, it's like, where's the like?
That's it.
It's just wild, isn't it? And it's weird because obviously we don't usually cover TNA first. We've got actually some very interesting WWE and AEW stuff to get into, and an interesting, if not great, G1 to get into as well. But like, it is just like, it's the news story of the weekend. It's just insane. And like I say, that fucking Carlos Silva can't get his face out of all it, can he? Was there when Trik won, he was there when JC won. He's all like he's literally Suge Knight. I think it was SP3 saying that. He's all up in the videos, he's all up in it, you know, the old come to death row speech. Like, he's literally everywhere. Like, it's just like
Dixie Silva.
This is good. He's trying to pretend to be sad as our boy Silva, but you know, maybe he's just sad that you know, that deal with Chelsea didn't come through when he was a defensive midfielder back in the day, you know. It's a shame.
He's a funny character, isn't he, with him? Because this is a guy who, everything else you kind of read about him, like, this is just someone who's very clearly defined job is get as many sponsorships as you can and get a fucking TV deal. And for him, the whole key to getting a TV deal is this relationship with WWE. So he probably just thinks, well, we'll just carry it on, yeah? Because it's a better selling point of going, look at us, we appear on this show and it does 600,000, and he can go to some TV networks with that as well and streaming services and see where it is. And we got a new story on who one of the front runners are as well.
Well, Eric Bischoff was on fucking, was it Ariel Helwani he was on? I can't remember what he was on this.
Yeah, Ariel Helwani.
He's fucking talking it up like, they could be the number 2. They can't, Eric, mate. They actually can't. You've got a better chance with your All-American Wrestling, or whatever it's called, going on Fox Nation, or whatever that ropey Fox channel that never looks real when it pops up on YouTube is. Yeah. I mean, if they get that deal, maybe they'll think it's worthwhile. But like Eddie, again, he's our TNA guy in the chat there, pointing out, the TNA versus other companies, 1 and 3 on the show. And as he points out, we shouldn't get it lost. Obviously, Santana was added last because he was hot. So why do that and then have him lose, you know? When the match could have just been Joe Hendry and Trik Williams, which would have been bad enough in itself. But yeah, old Poochie Silva, when he's not on screen, people should be asking where he is. He rightly points out here. But yeah, I mean, any broad strokes thoughts on obviously the men's match or the women's match, Eric, before we get to at least some real positive stuff that come from the show when it comes to our boy Leon, who's here you've had, but. Yeah, the matches themselves, I guess we kind of covered it with the men's. It's built around the faux injury, and then it looks like Santana's gonna win, and it's just literally you've got Trik Davis like sneaking in and grabbing the win. I thought the entrances were fucking hilarious, as I mentioned earlier. The whoop that Trik, I can't get over that. That was fucking so funny, and that rapper was so bad for Santana's entrance. Mate. Joe Hendry was Joe Hendry, but they tried to WrestleMania up, and then I guess they gave you the WrestleMania finish. Don't know if you got thoughts on the men's or the women's.
I think when it came to those entrances, if we're going to save it as well, like the Mike Santana, the guy who's a rapper, who's just like, he didn't come across, he just comes a bloke shouting in the ring. There was a couple of Puerto Rican flags around him. That was as much as that was. The Trik Williams entrance with the gospel choir and stuff like that, again, it was funny. It was kind of
cool. It was funny the way the bloke just started, like his face as he's humming along was something.
It was. I at least admired the effort that went into these things as well. The Joe Hendry one. I mean, all I'll say for that one is Joe Hendry looks like he's just going through the motions at this stage. Like, he just came across to me, and his work will always suggest he just as a bloke is going through the motions. even when he's trying hard. Because
I think that's just his level.
That's just his level. Yeah, that's just where he is, isn't he? I thought in terms of like the match itself, I mean, it just like the finish is a was such a damp squib, and it does kind of like take it away. Although there were people who cheered, it wasn't like it got like universal silence.
Well, people like Trik Davis; they like singing along with the song, you know.
And
again, like you said, there's a lot of NXT. Did I say Trik Davis again?
You said Trik Davis.
Old indie wrestler. I really am turned into JR in my old age, but yeah, a lot of NXT fans in the audience, and also old IWA Mid-South fans in the crowd as well, apparently, according to me. But yeah, they popped. I mean, what did you think of the JC Jane one? Any thoughts on that as a match as well?
What I couldn't understand as a match, I'm not convinced by JC Jane, really. I don't think she's terrible. Like, I've seen a lot worse, but it was doing all the bells and whistles, and it was what was it? There was one moment where they did the thing with the 2 titles where she's going to hit her with the title, the referee stops, pulls it away, and is handing it over, and then she has the other title thrown over, and she hits it with her. She hits her with it, I should say, and then just drops the title right in front of her. And so the referee's counting the pin with this title right in front of her that she's having to avoid with her arm as well, which just comes across as daft. For me, what I couldn't understand was, why not just put the belt on Jordynne Grace? Do Jordynne Grace Masha Slamovich, which has a big, long history and everything else that's there as well. If you wanted to put the belt on Jordynne Grace, TNA, it would be more like kind of accepting, but then she's going to be more fitting with it, and then have Masha win it back. The problem is we're going to end up in what is give or take kind of the same situation, where JC Jane, if she's ever going to lose it, she's going to lose it in a 3-way, because I just think it's the nature of how these things are being booked. I mean, I prefer Masha Slamovich to JC Jane. Obviously, I think you know, it's just, but JC Jane there's a lot being thrown onto her, and I'm just not convinced that she has it. She feels like a slightly better than average NXT women's wrestler, of which there's a lot of them, and they're all very much the same. They're all very much like kind of cookie cutter types. And that's the category she falls into. So I was, again, when I heard that result, I was like, fucking hell, that's exceptional, TNA, to have kind of done both of those. One of those you can get away with. 2 on the same night, no.
On a night of celebration as well. It's unbelievable. But we should get to the, again, share your thoughts on it. Like, I thought it was fine, but like from a booking point of view, bit of a mess. But like, I really want to get to like this next match. Like, I think where there was positive on the show, like I will actually, you know, say nice things about the opener on this show. I did think that that was strong. But probably the best Mustafa Ali match I've seen with Cedric Alexander. But we can get. I mean, it was still like 3.3.5 to 3.75 stars, but still the best match I've seen from Mustafa Ali. But good opener. Did this job. I really like Leon Slater and Moose. I think I'd kind of heard that it was all right, or that Moose wasn't at the races, and obviously a story has come out since that he's apparently dealing with he's knocked up. He's got
that would be a story, wouldn't it? If he was,
it would. Anything to get out of work in TNA, isn't it? But obviously he's got a few issues going on, and maybe that was presented in the match itself. But I still really liked it. I thought Leon Slater was brilliant. Again, like I was watching it. I'd been spoiled on some things about this show, but I genuinely didn't know that Leon won. I thought he probably did, knowing what was coming after the match, but like it was enough plausible deniability there. There was enough of me going, is Moose really going to put this lad over? And my God, did Moose put this lad over? Like, it took a lot, you know, Swanton Bomb, Swanton 450, felt like Leon hit about 50 moves, but like, it was what we always say Moose does well. It's like the big move matches, and it was like a big move match hidden within a traditional big man versus little man match. But like the thing that Leon Slater was doing was just bombarding them with all this crazy offense and these crazy dives, and Moose was a good base for it, or at least was good at fucking catching him, better than some other people have been in catching Leon. And I found it genuinely exciting. I thought it was a nice twist on the big man little man match. It had the right result, and it had an all-time amazing post-match that it seems like Leon Slater wasn't fully tuned in on either as well. So, like, it was a massive win. Honestly, it was that good that I had to put it last. I really would. I thought it was a great bit of business. And, like, if you were going to pinpoint somebody on this TNA roster who deserves that spotlight, you'd think because it's TNA, they wouldn't understand that. They wouldn't recognize that. They just wouldn't do it. But they've they actually did it. They put the focus on Leon Slater, gave him the AJ Styles moment. Like, that was tick, tick, tick. Everything you should do. There's some stories coming out that apparently the AJ was going to do something with Kazarian instead, which would have been like a nod to old TNA. But this was something where I think they actually did it right. It was a nod to the future of TNA, and it was rightfully recognizing that is absolutely Leon Slater. And I think it came across in the match, and it came across in the post-match here too, JP.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that. I thought it was absolutely cracking, and they did a really great kind of like false finish, like you say, with the spamming the big moves. I think there was a point where he got Moose up for like one of those, is it like a Blue Thunder bomb as well that he'd managed to deliver in it, which is like pretty incredible given the size of Moose, and we've seen it kind of close up.
Moose was up for it. He was posting and everything.
Absolutely, yeah, it was. And this is the funny thing about it, because there's bits of that Moose X Division title run that I've kind of, it's not an unusual thing for a guy of his size to be holding that title, which the commentary did play up sort of very well as well. But he'd had it for long enough, and if he lost it, you'd be absolutely fine with him losing it. Who was the perfect person for him to lose it to? Well, it's the guy who's never had it, who's 20 years old, who's really starting to improve and come across as an act. He's also filling out as well, like Leon Slater. I was there thinking, he'll have this title, but I don't know how long he'll be in TNA, because if you're WWE, you're thinking, we need to get this lad into NXT. We need to get him within the system and things like that. Pun. But that's what they'll be thinking. And in some ways, that would be a much sort of smarter move for it as well. I just thought it had...
For who?
Like you say...
Sounds like a terrible move. It sounds like you'll turn into Ben Carter, won't he? Like, what's he going to do? That's going to be of interest. Keep him away.
I mean, ideally, he wouldn't go there at all. Ideally, he'd go to AEW. That's not my personal preference for it. But if you're WWE and you're thinking, who are the people you're going to take from TNA, he would be
he comes to you for fatherly advice. Tell him AEW is better and he needs to go there, or he needs to go to...
Or giving him some more of my pizza. Like, because I did point out to her, I was like, this lad, I ate a couple of, and he looked starving that day. Well, he looks like he's filling out nicely, so he's had a few more of those pizzas in there as well.
But joke, by the way, he doesn't reach out to JP in the DMs for advice. It was a one-time thing.
He can do.
On the line in Newcastle, but he could.
I don't mind.
I get what he's saying. I just hope it doesn't come to fruition, because he is I
think it will.
He's the shining star of this company right now. And it was funny. There was a point where I know they were sorting out his visa, but he obviously had the whole boot camp thing, and then literally they just didn't use him at all. Obviously they announced it at the Coventry show I was at, that he was signed with TNA, and it was crickets. Obviously with the part of ways there, and the change in management and all of that. But you would have thought, they would have got on some sooner, but they've got on some at the right time. And for me, this AJ moment was just was perfect. It was just AJ coming out again. The music "Get Ready to Fly" was just. I almost feel like he might have resisted that. I don't think he said anything about it, but he almost said once, if he went back, I think he said it in an interview, if he went back to TNA, he wouldn't want to use it. I'm so glad. If they had an argument, they won that argument, because again, Everett has said there. Forget Everett has said about it not really being TNA anymore. When that music came out and the TNA letters are on the wall there, and he's walking out, and you can see in his eyes, he's kind of thinking back a little bit to those old days that I'm sure weren't all good old days. It gave me goosebumps. It was dead cool to see. I usually hate fans singing along with songs, but I was into that. It was great to kind of see that, and I got to kind of enjoy that. And he didn't do anything stupid. Maybe there could be a match coming down the line, but apparently, unless you know her, WWE doesn't let AJ Styles work matches outside the WWE. But that would be a match I'd want to see him and Leon. They didn't tease it too hard though. They just treated it I'm the history of the X Division, and he brings up Samoa Joe and Christopher Daniels and name checks all Amazing Red, Homicide, who I believe was backstage, all those guys, and just put Leon over as the future. And it seems like Leon was completely chedded by it, didn't know it was coming out, and he got given away by when it's he got his full celebration. It felt like the segment was over, and then AJ's music hits, and he did a little jig in the ring, didn't he? He was running around in a circle, all made up, which was brilliant. It was great to see. I'm happy, and he got that moment as well as the fans did, and it was perfect. It really was. It felt like a real endorsement, and one that you would believe AJ Styles means as well, because Leon is the future.
It is. In some ways, you could have transplanted this to Mike Santana in the main event if they'd wanted to do it that way. He wins the title, he celebrates with his daughter, he goes into the ring, out comes AJ Styles and talks about him being the future of TNA and stuff like that. You could do. I know he's older and whatnot, but it was so
stylistically
perfect
as well.
Yeah, but it was so perfect for Leon Slater, and like I say, being able to do it with his mum, his sister, and his girlfriend. and and just being like put over properly. You just think it wasn't like a daft angle. It was something that kind of like meant something to him, and just it had more real, genuine emotion behind it than so much of this kind of like passing of the torch shit can come across as. And I thought it was really, really good. And like you say, it was what really got to me was just it was that moment of when his music starts playing and you just see Leon Slater just jump up, and it's just like fucking hell. And it is.
Well, he's like all of us, isn't he? Well, maybe not me, but like most people in our country who grew up wrestling fans who do that thing where you like WWE because it's what's available to you, and then it's like, oh my god, like how many people around this age are like, oh my god, what's this wrestling channel thing? What's this TNA thing? And then obviously when they're on Challenge and there's more of those types of people, what's this TNA thing? Like Ospreay's the same way, isn't he? You think of like the amount of like wrestlers who work a certain style who are influenced directly by TNA. That was the alternative wrestling they got to see, and it was AJ Styles and it was Samoa Joe and all those guys in the mid 2000s. Like it's forgotten, but like there's probably a whole generation of British wrestlers who feel exactly the same way Leon Slater does.
Well, Ospreay always did, didn't he? That was always like the big thing for.
Yeah, they fucked that, didn't he? Remember when they had him for like one UK tour and did nothing with him, put him in a ladder match, and then whatever. And that was New Japan sign him. Idiots.
It is. It's always like a really. It's an interesting thing, isn't it, when you talk about like the history of TNA? That world title scene in TNA was just it just felt like very low rent WWE. It always did, and it was always going to go to those kind of bigger names. But it was the X division was the thing that was like the unique selling point, because as you'll probably say, it was just it was a bit of Ring of Honor thrown into TNA. That's what it was. That's what it felt like. It was just like this is this futuristic wrestling style that you can watch in Ring of Honor. We're taking it on board, and that's the thing that attracted people because it was genuinely different from WWE. And so I suppose, and that's why the Leon Slater moment works so well, is because it is just tying into that.
And that's what I liked about the way they presented AJ. They were talking about what's like the TNA legend, like the greatest of all time in TNA. And it's so funny. It's like obviously time heals wounds and stuff like that, and now I mean that's very clearly true when we can look back on it. But he's literally the Sting of TNA in the AJ. If you think about like the similar thing where like Sting was always clearly the guy in WCW, and then a shiny new choice come in, or Hogan came in and he got kind of pushed to the side, and like it took us all to get a bit older to go, Sting was always the guy in WCW, and Sting was like, he's the poster boy, isn't he, for WCW? I feel like AJ Styles is the same way. Like every time a new booker came in, he gets shoveled back in the X division, and they'd dye his hair like Ric Flair, or they'd do something daft with him. But really, he was the guy. Sting was the main character of WCW, like Hangman Page is the main character of AEW, and AJ Styles is the main character of TNA. And it's cool that like this version of the company recognized that. Beggars can't be choosers, but they do, and he seems to recognize that as well. So yeah, watch it never come to anything and there never be a match, and WWE just be cunts about it. But like, yeah, if you were TNA, that's what you go, all right, fine, we let Trik keep the belt, but can we just have AJ one night? Come on, Bound for Glory. AJ and Leon, come on. He's leaving anyway. He's only got a year left in his contract. Come on. You would put all your chips on that, wouldn't you? I mean, I guess a TV deal is arguably more important, but I hope.
I think if they can, I mean, this is the thing that they need to do is trying to get actual cast iron written guarantees from WWE. You can use AJ Styles at Bound for Glory, TV tapings beforehand and the week afterwards. Something along those lines. Because it'll help old Dixie Silva trying to get a TV deal, wouldn't it? Or Carlos Carter, depending on your point of view. Like it would help him trying to get that sorted out. It would be something that would. I mean, the problem is he's not going to lose. He didn't lose in Noah, like so. I mean, like it wouldn't be. It'd be who you're putting him in there.
Title.
Yeah, but then I'd sooner just not put him in there with Leon Slater if that's the case. The problem is a tag match would be fine. In their mind, though, they'll probably be thinking Frankie Kazarian. They'll be doing something.
You could
like
be the heel. You could be a Frankie and whoever else, on that side. You could do that.
Just someone else.
For them, mate. That's what we do these days. We book the wrestling promotions. We tell them what to do, and they
Carlos
sometimes do
Carter
it.
Salinas. But this is the
Regal
thing.
telling Carlos there's no restrictions, only to be pulled the day before. Yep, I could see that coming soon.
But you just never get the impression, especially after this show, that they're so far the junior member in all of this that they're not, that they can't call any of it. And WWE know because they've got the leverage, which is You want your TV deal? Well, you need us in order to get that. And I think that's just how it feels.
Same for the Houses, and Delirious knows to play that role well. Having done it in ROH with New Japan being the big brother as well. But I mean, we said too many positive things there, JP, and we gushed about it. Let's bury something. This ladder match, actually, I won't bury the match. The ladder match was a ladder match.
Yeah,
I laughed at Jeff Hardy having his own like pull rope ladder that he added to the fray. That was quite funny, to be fair. I quite enjoyed that. Some daft spots in there, but like I don't think I can go any further. Obviously, we're going to talk about Bully Ray, the boring cunt coming out afterwards. But AJ Francis, like, do you reckon it's all? Do you reckon he just conned his way into wrestling and never actually went to wrestling school? Because I'm starting to believe that now. Like, he is so bad at everything. Like, posting, taking bumps, like doing his own moves, like right down to, people haven't seen it, there's a clip going around, but basically he falls off the ladder, doesn't he? And he's supposed to bump through, like a ladder set up like a table on the outside, and he's supposed to bump through it back first or front first, or however he was planning on taking it. And it turns out actually he was planning on taking it with his feet first to break his own fall, and he literally goes, his feet just slip through the ladder and he just fucking clangs like his midsection, doesn't he, on his way down. It looked way worse than just taking the bump. It was like, I shouldn't laugh, but like that's just, I mean, add into it laugh. Like his daft purple and gold outfit and him also getting the rapper entrance as well. I shouldn't have had to go at Santana's one. His one's the one I should have had to go on as well, but it was just like pissed myself laughing. He's so fucking crap. But rest of this ladder match was actually all right, but he was funny, and what it set up so ridiculous. But yeah, Jesus Christ. And
it looked even worse when his partner Casey Navarro, who was fucking injured, by the way, took the bump properly, as you should do. And instead he's thought, nah, what I'm going to do is, what is the part of my body that's going to take the brunt of this bump is my cock. And just to go through it, like through like putting his legs. I mean, just fucking idiotic, because it's the thing about ladders. Most of it is gaps when you think about it. There's like the metal bits are relatively small because that's what ladders are. And instead he's thought, I'll just land on my feet. It was like, what? On a tiny, fucking 3-inch wide bloody piece of like aluminium. You're going to do that, are you? Like him who can't take a bump and walks like he's got fucking arms for legs, isn't he? Like he's had Nick Riviera doing the fucking
that Tanahashi thing, elbows for knees, all of that.
Elbows for knees. It's just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I laughed, and it deserves to be laughed at. And he's laughed at it as well, hasn't he? He just said, "Well, I've got a big cock, so like it's cushioned my fall." Which I just thought, well, okay, at least you're owning it. But at the same time,
apparently he's all right. Dreadful. I did see that report. Yeah,
he's fine. He's dreadful for it. The match itself was kind of how I expected it to be. It's the only way that you're ever going to get much worthwhile value out of the Hardys or the Nemeths, for that matter, is to do this type of a match. The post-match stuff, I just went, oh, Jesus fucking Christ. Like, I shook my head because I thought, well, obviously, Prick McGee, that is fucking Bully Ray, has to decide to get involved because God knows there isn't enough busted open radio influence all over this fucking thing as well. Those pre-show panels, mate. I don't know if you watched any of that countdown show, but fucking hell.
I didn't with this, no. I mean, it's bad enough on WWE and AEW, but like, Jesus.
Oh, it's worse. It makes the AEW one look like it's bloody inside the NBA. Like, it's so bad. Then a bloke from Skid Row on it, and Dave LaGreca and Tommy Dreamer and Gia Miller as well. It's just absolutely fucking dreadful. But anyway, yeah. So you had that, and then you had Bully Ray coming out, and it's just like fucking Team 3D versus the Hardys in 2025. Like, oh God!
Can they get Cope and Kristen involved somehow? They probably won't. I would guess with the current, political landscape. But they've tried. They want
all of those teams still around today. Like, I mean, it's just shocking, isn't it? Like that's the situation we get at the time that they wrestle. Edge and Christian will have become a team by that point, and we'll be well down the road with that. And you've got all of them, and then maybe if Edge and Christian's contracts come up, they can go into TNA and they can just do the fucking ladder match. Except there's a fair chance that everyone is so old. I mean, what state is Devon in?
He couldn't be asked, could he? Couldn't even be bothered coming. didn't even turn up, the lazy bastard. Like, I don't know what's going on there. Like, it's just like, I mean, he's probably actually the smart one. He probably realized it. Apparently it was a family matter or something like that. It just sounds like he was like, fuck that, I'll come for the payday. I'll come for the big match. Smart bloke. Always like that, Diva. Just like, he's just a bad spell, and he Bully Ray with it. It's like every time he comes out and that crap theme hits, and it's like, it makes me, every return he does and every appearance he does, because he's been knocking around a lot lately, just makes me like remember less fondly the stuff I actually liked he did in TNA. You know, the obviously the Aces and Eights leader stuff and the heel run. Let's just forget that now. He's just a fucking loudmouth radio cunt. I'm like, they shouldn't indulge him, but they're going to continue to, because it's exposure, isn't it? And yeah, Busted Open will continue to frame their coverage in a certain way if you're nice to them.
And that's it, isn't it? It falls into that. He's gone down. I mean, him and Eric Bischoff like peas in a pod in terms of like, well, how do we get the most interactions? Well, we just need to slag off AEW and WWE and TNA. Pretty much everything they do is brilliant, and it just carries on. And it's just like, but it's just so fucking tiresome, and he's so tiresome, and the act is tiresome as well. And it is a thing that TNA. I mean, they might well have got away with it for this night in terms of the attendance and stuff like that. But the thing that they're going to have to do at some point is just put the belts on a Saint and Sinner and go down that direction. Have them versus the Rascals. The Rascals should be their like legacy tag team, if anyone. And I know that Trey Miguel isn't there because he's injured and various other things. And had Myron Reed in there. I think
he did a good job, Myron Reed. He fits in perfectly, obviously, with the association and stuff like that. But it was great. Ever since Injustice with him and Jordan Oliver in MLW, mate, I've been all over Myron Reed for that. He's been your boy. Oh god, yeah. But yeah, it's going back to that nostalgia, which is again, is it going to work to draw them the house like for Bound for Glory? If they're still appearing, if you still got people appearing there, then they're probably thinking, it's the juice is worth the squeeze for it. But the problem is it doesn't build anything new. It doesn't, and that's really the direction that they have to go on. Because if they do sign a TV deal, this is like they're going to need to do it with like a relatively fresh roster. That's going to be the key. And if they do sign a money TV deal, I don't see WWE helping them out at all, because then they'll go, well, now you're kind of competition. Because in theory, you're gonna be taking eyeballs. Funny that, isn't it? Yeah, like they want them to overtake AEW. Like it's a fantasy, isn't it? Like it's a Bischoff fantasy. But if that ever happened, and it won't, but if it could, like then they'd be the competition. So it's just they want them to do well to a certain point, don't they? Like keep them just on a nice little safe network somewhere, and let them pretend they're the number two rather than actually be the number two. Like that's their happy ending.
That's it, isn't it? It's what NXT is to them. NXT at this point is there to just for them to throw at AEW to use as a distraction. And what AEW, as we've said with All In, and particularly the All In review, they've done so well in recent months, is just ignore that stuff. TNA would just become part of that as well. Yeah. You wouldn't be surprised if they put conditions of what night they could run if they did sign a TV deal, and they would say, well, you're going to run Wednesdays. Because they would just go,
Sunday morning.
That's that. Like I think if they were going to be used, they'd go right Saturday nights or Wednesdays. Yeah. You're going to be there to just be competition to AEW, and that's what it's going to be.
Definitely. Well, I threw it up on the screen. That is, for anyone who didn't see it. Yeah, that's what his landing looked like. Thank you to Pro Wrestling News and MMA or whatever the fuck that is on Facebook. I don't know. It says he could have injured his legs there. No, I think it's his cock he should probably be worried about in that butt, mate. Jesus Christ. But yeah, that was probably your highlight of the ladder match and the post match, which was god awful as we've said. Did you have all the highlights from the show? I all the lights. Like I say, I did enjoy the opener. I did enjoy Mustafa Ali and Cedric Alexander. Though the Mustafa Ali bullshit and the finish wasn't great, but I think the work was good for an opener, and that was your other good match on the show, I would probably say.
That's it. And again, if I was probably a bit more, I'd say upbeat on the ending. It was partly because Tasha Steelz took that really fucking nasty bump, but then it didn't make sense with her bringing in the chair and stuff like that. And they did well in terms of the storyline of tying it into the Cruiserweight Classic and things like that. I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. And and Mustafa Ali's dive to the outside that he's all right from, but fuck me, that could have gone completely sideways. It was a good match. I think this is the problem overall with the card is when we were speaking about when TNA were getting themselves together, particularly with Josh Alexander as champion, Mike Bailey as X Division champion, and it would be like a Jordan Grace in the women's division, is you'd always have 3 at least good matches. So if you're talking star rating wise, those 3 would be easily 3.5 stars to 4 stars upwards. That's where they would be. There wouldn't be world beats. You wouldn't be talking about for like match of the year, but it would always be consistently good. That level of work has gone down. Like it has gone down. You're not getting that out of Trik Williams as your world champion. And I think
Trik Davis.
Yeah, or Trik Davis even. Trick Shots, Steve Davis. That would have been a fucking great name for him as well. I mean, the X Division title was good, but like you're not going to have that with the women's division, and I think that appears to be like
what are they doing with Tessa Blanchard?
Like,
what is this
work
shoot thing they're doing? Like, I don't really get it. And Indy Hartwell match was not up to much.
No,
20 minutes it sat around or whatever long it was hard going. Though.
Do you think that Indy Hartwell winning that one as partly to play into whatever this fucking story? I mean,
yeah,
that the problem
Instagram shoot. That's what we're doing. We're doing an Instagram shoot.
It really is. It's just like I couldn't care. Like, and they said they might do a match with her and Gia Miller because Gia Miller has trained as a wrestler before and whatnot.
Yeah,
but Indy Hartwell feels like the acceptable face of who could beat JC Jane because of her WWE history. They couldn't have Masha Slamovich do it, which is sad because if anything, the company, like, again, if you're looking to sign women's wrestlers, Masha Slamovich of people who are out there in non-WWE, AEW, Masha Slamovich is probably one of the people you'd want to go to. Just with Tessa Blanchard, it's the problem is you sign her, but you can't trust her with anything substantial. Yeah.
Well, it says here you wouldn't see any of the TNA title. Oh, well, it can actually be WWE, but I think I agree more with Eddie in the chat who says, yeah, could be NXT, could be next. Like, I mean, it's not like Del Rio's like disappeared from AAA, is it? Like, he's a babyface now. Like, so, you know, whether she ends up in NXT or not is obviously a different question. But I don't think it'll mean like the suspension becomes anything more. I think she'll be around.
Yeah,
Barry and Indy Hartwell, love it.
Yeah, the thing is as well, is because they've teamed her with, and maybe the cynic in me went, they've teamed her with Victoria Crawford in order to basically say, well, she's not a racist, look. And it's just like, fucking hell, like, that's the most...
She definitely is a racist.
Yeah, that's like the lowest way of fucking trying to prove that point. It's just absolute bollocks. But...
you say those things and you think those things, you definitely are a racist. And,
exactly. And never apologise for it. Never show any kind of like contrition either. Like, maybe I've learned something. No, she's learned fuck all. Could I see her turning up in NXT? I think this is what we said at the time when she went back to TNA. This was always the thing. It was always about like the little it's the problem is they want the notoriety that she brings because that will bring some amount of eyeballs, while simultaneously sort of going, she's changed. So therefore, in her mind as well, it's like, I'm good to hire. I'm not going to be like go off the rails or anything else like that. She's going to be as good as gold. But I don't know. I think the fact is you can't put titles on her. You can't trust her.
No, that's it. Well, that's kind of it really as far as highlights and lowlights of the show goes. The Matt Cardona and the other one had they got to work in Long Island in a multi-person. Congratulations, lads. Like there's a story there. I don't know. Yeah.
Did you see the production snafu with the interview with the Elegance brand?
Well, they did the whole. So.
No, they left. So at the start, before the promo started, they just had them chatting as if they were doing it. Right, we go live in 3, 2, 1, and then they all went in a character. And this is like during the fucking main pay-per-view bit of the show, and I went, TNA's going to TNA. This is
always
what it is.
Going to be TNA.
Yeah,
always, no matter what they do.
It was a proper "we're live, pal" moment as well.
Wherever they end up, they'll always be TNA. Obviously, the rumors are Meltzer and obviously PW Insider have got a spotty track record recently with stuff. Both seem to agree that it's A&E they're heading to. Which again, if you look at the numbers with A&E, A&E is they have those WB biographies and they do about 100,000 people. So that's pretty much what they do in Access, as Meltzer did rightly point out. So I don't know if that super deal is coming anytime soon to become the legitimate number 2, but we'll see. They live in hope.
I see what makes me, I say, worry about this one, because they'll take any TV network. And A&E dabbled in wrestling with their rival shows and LFG and is it the Hidden Treasures and all that stuff, the stuff that AJ Francis was on, ironically. But I don't know if are they going to pay $10 million a year for something that draws around 100,000? That seems like a fuck of a lot. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not like, and so AEW are getting somewhere close to like sort of like 80 million a year, 90 million a year for like a product that isn't like, exactly hitting on all cylinders, but at the same time it provides really healthy pay-per-view buy rates. It's able to stream on their properties. They're able to be flexible and manageable and stuff like this. The problem I have with this A&E deal is the fact that WWE are linked, and it feels like it's almost on condition of them being in a favorable relationship with WWE. And I mean, they still wouldn't be profitable, would they? Even if they sign a $10 million a year?
I don't think that accounts are public, but they could pretend they are. They can put a brave face on it, and maybe that's all it'll take. But you'd like to think they'd be hoping for better. But yeah, as Eddie says there, nobody's paying $10 million a year for TNA. Look at the NXT deal. That deal's compared to what AEW get for the same hours, or at least for the Dynamite hours. They're getting a bargain over there on the CW. So we'll see what WWE's fourth brand can do. But as I think TNA counts as a WWE story at this point, we'll go into some of the WWE news and do some of the AEW news, and then we'll do our other big review, which is the G1. So stick around for that. But we did say on the weekend show, we teased it when it comes to the WWE news. We had a biggie to talk about here. I think it is quite interesting stuff. As I bet JP was trying to share his screen then, and instead of hitting the share my screen button, he's hit the exit the StreamYard room button, as I just hear the beep as JP returns to the studio. Wrong button, JP. Pretty sure I know I've done that too.
It's one of those bloody links.
I just did it.
Yeah, and then it just goes black, and it's just like, well, I could sit here like I'm in pitch fucking darkness. But
new StreamYard layout, we'll blame that as well as other issues. But yeah, we did say we'd talk about it. Obviously, this Netflix viewership report that's come out via WrestleNomics, which has put a few things in light as far as the WWE numbers on Netflix. I think it's quite interesting for a conversation. JP, obviously, I won't share what's behind the Patreon party wall over on WrestleNomics, but obviously there's been a bit of a write up from the Observer on this as well by Josh Nason, talking about obviously Netflix releasing statistics for their first half of 2025, which does include some WWE numbers and also some gigantic numbers when it comes to other things that aren't WWE that we can look at as like a comparison point, because we've always said it, like what will be a success, what wouldn't be a success for WWE on Netflix. It's actually been quite hard to pinpoint, but I think these numbers probably illuminate it quite well. The Raw has the top 23 of WWE's entries on there, with the January show doing 6.9 million viewers. And then apparently the first non-Raw show listed was January's Royal Rumble with 3 million views, beating the second night of WrestleMania with 2.8 million views, which I've got my own theory on why that might be, and night one at 2.4 million views. And obviously Rumble's the first PLA on Netflix, as it says here. It's also that bit longer, and again they use like minutes watched, hours watched as like kind of the weird metric they use we can get into with Netflix. So I think it's probably a wash, but it does show the interest was very early. Elimination Chamber at 1.9 million, Money in the Bank 1.6 million, so you can see the sliding scale here. Night of Champions 1 million, and obviously SmackDown is not broadcast in the US, and it's a bit complex. And same with the pay-per-views, they've still got the Peacock deal with the pay-per-views. So like when you're talking pay-per-views, we're talking international. When we're talking Raw, you're pretty much talking everybody. But like I think that's what's so jarring about like these numbers when you look at them, JP, and not like the Raw number, how quickly it falls off a clip when obviously what Brandon's put on WrestleNomics. Royal Rumble doing 3 million, obviously, and Elimination Chamber 1.9 million, WrestleMania in the 2 million range. The Raw numbers, starts 6.9 million for that first Raw, drops to 4.4 million for the second Raw, and then we just do a sliding scale down to the threes. And by the time you get to the last real measurable date that's on this chart that Brandon's put out for patrons, it's 2.7 million, and Raw does for the June 23rd show. So and that's pretty consistent. Most of them do about 3 million. give it maybe that 0.3 million will come with delayed watches. For there might be people out there, JP, who are just going out and watching month-old Raws. I guess those people do exist in some form. But the numbers usually top themselves up for whatever reason. But like, I mean, if you compare that, like, obviously it's publicly available. You look at like what the Netflix's big shows do to like just a comparison point. And again, you don't expect WWE to be like within this range, but just to give comparison, for Netflix, the biggest streamer in the entire world, 144.8 million adolescents, the limited series that in their top 10. Squid Game season 2, 117 million views. Squid Game season 3, 71 million views. Like, you're talking much bigger numbers. And then when you get and you might say, well, they're TV shows, and they more, unlike Raw, where it's individual episode, that's more cumulative across the board. All right, here's some films back in action. I don't even know what that is, JP. 164.7 million.
Cameron Diaz and Jamie Foxx.
Is it? Okay. Straw, do you know that one? 102.9 million. Kids film, I think.
Might be. I haven't seen that, nah.
But like, we're in the 100 million range, do you know what I mean? So like, if we give a full consideration to it, again, Netflix wouldn't have expected that from WWE, but that's the high end of what you can do, on Netflix, and people will watch stuff. Like, is it fair at this point, JP, when we have a bit of numbers behind it, to say it? Is it a disappointment? We could probably say, do you think there's people in Netflix's ivory towers that are wondering why did we give these fuckers so much money? Because I don't know if I think they're getting some return on investment. It's a lot of programming. It's a lot of different programming. It's going to be even more programming going forward once some of the other deals run out. But I don't know. They probably should have expected more than what they can.
I always thought that when they signed WWE to the contract, that was almost like, okay, we want live sports, ideally, but we're not sure whether or not that's something that's necessarily going to work for Netflix. Now, they've done it a lot more. They did it with the Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano fight. They've done it with Jake Paul as well. And so they've sort of tested those waters. But I think there's if you're Netflix and you're looking and you're going, right, this weekly program has gone down by the guts of 2/3 in the time that we have, that in the time that we've had it. It's gone from like 6.9 million, which is an outlier number, but it also suggests that it wasn't a good episode. As we talked about when we reviewed it, wasn't a good episode. Yeah. Look at the drop, 4.4 million, and it's going down pretty much all of the time. There are some inflated bumps where there's the reaction to a big pay-per-view, a Mania, or a Rumble, where it's just like, and it boosts up again. But at the same time,
TV, yeah, that tends to happen with TV too.
It does. But then there's also the thing about, I've seen though for other, like say a HBO, a new series comes on and it'll do better ratings than the season it's done before because there is this word of mouth and people have been able to play catch up. I just don't think the word of mouth for Raw has been particularly good. Now, is WWE Unreal going to change that? I don't know if it will, because if they're comparing themselves to, say, a Drive to Survive, which actively had a massive impact on how Formula One is viewed and reached a new audience and managed to kind of draw in this, and it felt real and felt authentic. I'm not convinced that WWE Unreal is going to do that. So I don't think that is going to artificially bump things up. Oh, here's this show that non-wrestling fans can watch, this behind the scenes of a TV show. I think they're going to show it. I think that's not something that's going to be necessarily working. I mean, you look at the PLEs. Yeah, 3 million for the Rumble. That's the one you should start off with. It's the easiest selling point because of the match concept and stuff. But to go from 3 million to 1 million, I don't know. It's Night of Champions. That doesn't suggest a product that is really connecting and resonating with that audience. That's the problem. And why is that the case? As I've maintained since it's begun, it's not been any good. It's coincided with one of the more lackluster, probably the most lackluster booking period for Triple H in recent years. And
it all fits together.
And how do people vote? Well, they don't in this day and age. It's not brand loyalty. It's just like, nah, I'm switching it over. Not bother. I'm not watching this. And that's what they're going to end up doing. And I'm not saying Netflix will do the get out. And I think there was at points at times, it was like, this is a kind of scary, the percentages. people talk about AEW's percentage and stuff going down year on year. If they were having falls like this, honestly to God, it would be terrifying. It'd be like, I don't know if Warner Brothers Discovery are going to stick with them. Like that would be a genuine conversation if it went down by at least half. And that's where it is.
And in fairness, that did happen after the first Dynamite. The first Dynamite was high, and then the second one happened with everything. Happened with the first SmackDown on Fox. Happens with everything. I think that can explain the drop from Raw Week 1 to Week 2. It doesn't explain the slippery slide down from there. The more gradual slide, as you point out, is just a lack of interest, isn't it? Just quite clearly, like plain as day, written there. And again, we shouldn't fall into the trap of comparing these exactly to TV ones. It's like we were saying at the tail end of last year. You know, cable was down 5%, so WWE were down less than 5%. That doesn't mean they're growing, but I don't think it means they're falling. You know, if you survey 100 people one year and then the next year you survey 95, you'd expect 5 less answers. So they were kind of shielded by that. You know, they had more than 5 less answers for them there. Whereas here, with Netflix, the numbers are obviously global for everything on here. Obviously, with the exception of Raw, that's global is Raw everywhere. Global for the pay-per-views is global except for the US, with it being on Peacock is what I mean to say. And then also, it's households, isn't it, that they go by? It's obviously not individuals, which was the thing with TV in the US. It was always individuals rather than households. We never really got the Raw household number. So it's hard to compare apples to apples, isn't it, to go, has there been a slide since it's on TV to here? But even with that said, again, yes, the pay-per-views are on Peacock also in the US, so maybe that explains a little bit there. It shows you that, there's 3, I guess the maximum number of people outside of the US who are willing to watch these pay-per-views are 3 million, because we've seen that for the Royal Rumble. When it comes to TV, this includes the US and international, and the numbers are, bouncing around 3 million, and daring to maybe drip slightly below that to 2.9, 2.7. And that includes America. That includes, it was the 1.2 million or whatever the number ended up when Raw finished up on cable, individual people rather than households. But it's a lot of people, and it should be a lot of households that are represented there. It's not, it just doesn't look good from the numbers point of view, and it doesn't, like I say, bode a good picture when you look at just percentage wise or just the numbers that we've got, and you look at that drip as it goes down. And I don't know, probably not panic stations, but definitely something you'd imagine somebody in a busy business room is slightly worried about.
Yeah, this is it. I mean, and whether or not this coincides with, it's not a softening of the business, but it certainly isn't as robust as it was in 2024. Like it isn't at that level. And so if you're thinking about this as a Netflix executive as well, you're paying $5 billion for this over 10 years. You're not paying that for Squid Game. You're paying a lot for Squid Game. Don't get me wrong. And I don't want to spoil the end of Squid Game season 3, but I'm not convinced that that is the end of the Squid Game kind of franchise necessarily. But you're still not paying this amount of money for it. And they might have thought, well, it's a game of inches. We're going to get a global fan base. We're going to get a younger fan base, and they're going to come in. But this is where I always wonder about. This is where WWE's, they're brilliant at selling bullshit metrics, aren't they? They always have been. These, in terms of interactions and views on social media and things like that, without ever giving too many actual specifics in there. When you look at this as cold, hard data, as much as you can do with this, because like you said, it's not TV, it's a different measuring system. There's a thing where you're going, well, something's not working here, and there has to be that acknowledgement of that. And who's that going to fall upon? It falls onto Triple H. That's who it comes down to.
Rubbing his hands.
Yeah. If they were, and would they give a shit about getting rid of him? Absolutely not. In a heartbeat, would they get rid of him? Yeah. And would The Rock go, I've got the perfect guy. His name's Brian Gewirtz. And we're going to get him in. He's written the show and he wrote it over this successful period as well. We're going to get him.
Sung the theme tune. He did it all.
Yeah. All of that stuff. That's what they're going. That is, you could see that being the case. And so, and what's interesting about this is probably the most where they've tried to throw in so many mainstream celebrities into the mix, and it's working.
That was the idea of Raw
least.
1, wasn't it? That's what they did. Instead of like highlighting the roster that was arguably hot at that point on the way to WrestleMania, and like
who got them the fucking deal?
Over. Yeah, they all got cut. Their time got cut so that they could do a Hogan segment, and they could do, you know, all the bollocks they did with The Rock and all of that. Like, you know, it was funny. Like, me and Matty reviewed it, didn't he? And it was like, you know, it was fine, other than the 5 segments that were bad. I was like, I think that's Matty admitting it was a bad show, because it was a bad show. Like that, it wasn't their best foot forward as much as they probably thought it was to impress the executives in the front rows. But yeah, Sammy does point out that Go Ahead did write the show when it was shite for 20 years. But I don't know. Are they in tune enough to know that the folks at TKO? Who knows? But hey, it's not all bad news for WWE. It's worth monitoring. It's worth talking about. Obviously, when we now that we finally have stuff to compare it with. But you know, not all bad news in the world of WWE as we roll out on their news.
It isn't indeed. SmackDown drew its best rating in 3 months, so 1.546 million. This is Friday night's episode as well. 0.45 in the old, up 21.6 from the week before as well. I think it was up against Major League Baseball as well. I know that's been in there as well. It did beat out the WNBA skills competition on ESPN. That was on there as well at the same time. And really what it is it's back into the groove of how it normally does, which is anywhere between 1.4 and 1.6 million. So a slightly better week for that, as it kind of should be, because they've got John Cena on it on the reg as well there as well. But again, they are still making money hand over fist. Why? Well, they've got the city of San Diego to basically they've put a 5 million of their budget aside, earmarked for them getting a Survivor Series there as well.
And that's why we'll never get WrestleMania at Wembley, mate.
Nope. And I'm all right with that, personally. So the SDTMD, the San Diego Tourism Marketing District, your old job, in here as well. They initially approved 650,000. I don't think you'd get to wipe Triple H's arse with that money, certainly not Nick Khan's as well. But then they got an additional 4.25 million as well. And this is probably about them hosting the show at the San Diego Padres stadium, which you can see in the background for video viewers there as well. So another baseball stadium. Be interesting to look at the attendance figures for that, making a comparison to All In on there as well. But they believe it'll lead to 18,000 hotel rooms being booked and 3.6 million for lodging-based businesses in the city there as well. I don't think that'll be that. I think that's just more in wish fulfillment there as well. John Cena, his TV dates have added on a few more on there, including his last appearance in Chicago as well. So his last appearance there is going to be September 5th at the Allstate Arena, and not the United Center, which is the bigger arena as well, which is kind of interesting there as well. And Milwaukee, Norfolk, Virginia at the Scope, which WCW used to run back in the day there as well. Obviously, his final date is going to be in Boston, and that's the one they've got booked for December there as well. So they've got those tickets out there, and are they going to be selling it there? And the SummerSlam card seems to be coming together. We've had a new SummerSlam match confirmed, but also a new stip set, and this is going to be the street fight between John Cena and Cody Rhodes. That was as a result of the angle that they did on Raw, and because Dominic on SmackDown, my bad, same thing. Really, isn't it? Give or take.
We'll get into it.
It is a bit harsh there as well. And finally, they've announced Dominic Mysterio versus AJ Styles, which sadly won't result in a Leon Slater run-in to returning the favour.
That won't make my mixtape. Unless it's great, then maybe it will when we do that. No, I thought it was a good intro to kind of talk like the SummerSlam card, like, and obviously the week's TV. So as you point out there, obviously, they did the big angle with Cena refusing to face Cody, and then I don't know if this works in contract law, putting him through a table and making him sign or signing for him. Okay, fair enough. That means it's legal. That's what we're doing.
That's like what Alan Partridge did to that TV exec who died before signing his contract.
That's what TNA need to do.
And he put his fucking pen in his hand to just make him sign.
That's what our boy Carlos needs to go get in the AEW room and just figure it out wrestling style. But yeah, obviously that's official. You know, to be fair, I said it to Matthew last week. They have got ahead of the game. I mean, I say ahead of the game. They didn't have much time really with SummerSlam being not this weekend, next weekend, unbelievably. But it's all pretty much set out. Obviously, Gunther and CM Punk had their segments on Raw. We can talk about Randy Orton and the Jelly Roll, the Jam Donut, to take it on Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul. Tiffany Stratton, Jade Cargill, Naomi against Io Sky and Rhea Ripley, Dominic Mysterio, AJ Styles, as you mentioned, Becky Lynch against Lyra Valkyria in the no DQ match, which again I think has been one of the better feuds they've done on TV recently. Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu, which God, you should be glad you didn't see SmackDown this week for the WCW-esque car angle that they did with them two, and Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez against Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. Feels like a relatively big card. Like I said, I honestly thought the Punk and Gunther segment was really good on Raw this week. I won't be the first person to point it out, but yeah, I agree. Gunther was better than Punk when it came onto the promo. Gunther was very good at explaining why he's the actual best in the world, and for Punk it's just bluster and all of that stuff and ego, and he talks about his ego being end and Punk's not being end. So on the slide, really good promo, Gunther. I've been glad to see Goldberg not walk back his criticisms, but point out I wasn't having a go at Gunther. He was fantastic because he is fantastic. The one WWE proof wrestler I think that exists on planet Earth. But yeah, that's an interesting match. Whether you're willing to go along with Punk getting another title shot after just losing a title shot, but they did the whole beat the clock, the gauntlet thing they did on Raw last week that he ended up being the last man standing on. So they're kind of your big two matches. You got your celebrity match in there as well. Dominic and AJ might be good in the undercard. Who knows? And then on the women's side, Tiffy and Jade Cargill, good luck. But Naomi, Io Sky and Rhea Ripley obviously will be great based on what we saw at Evolution. I think they'll just it's good that will be happening in front of presumably more people now. So I think that's a good shout, and Becky Lyra is a good shout as well. So yeah, all in all, I think they put the best foot forward, and quite clearly they've had a lot of these matches in the holster, and I've just waited until Saturday night's main event got out the way to finally get to the point of announcing them.
Yeah, looking at this card, I mean, and again, you're assuming that like one night's headlined by Gunther, Punk, and the other one's Cena, Cody. That would be the only comment. They're the two big matches in there as your two big hooks, which I'm fine with as the two big hooks. I've no issue with that in the slightest. I think there's a lot on here that has the potential to be good, but I also think that there's stuff that's completely fraught with danger. It needs to be punched up a bit for me. There's a couple of at the minute we're looking at 9 matches announced. We're a little over a week away. Really, you want to be having for particularly 2 big stadium shows. I think you want to be having sort of 6 or 7 matches at least either night for that. Now it is 2.
That's the thing, and 2 days is a lot. It's a lot.
It is, isn't it? And it's a lot of it's a lot of gimmick matches, which I don't mind necessarily. The celebrity match is the celebrity match. It won't be good, but it could be quite fun, which is really as much as you can hope from like a Jelly Roll or Randy Orton for that matter. It doesn't get me excited. There is a clear softening when you think about how big this show is, and if I'm right in thinking ticket sales wise, it's not outstanding. I mean, they obviously sold out Mania for 2 nights there not that long ago, and I think is it somewhere around 40-odd thousand. Now that'll pick up
pretty strong for 2 nights, isn't it, for SummerSlam?
I just think it's the optics of it. It's just okay, but they're not selling out these places, which at one point in time they would have come reasonably close to them being able to do. I think it says a lot about some of the storyline. I mean, they're going back to Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, and a steel cage, which is there so really bad, for
it's soap opera. It's just lads in black t-shirts now, just having arguments in car parks and endless bloodline brawls. It's so bad. And then you got Roman on the other channel, kind of revamped the whole Paul Heyman thing with Heyman trying to get him to join the baddies, and the build to the Braun Breaker match, which to be fair, I think it's a good spot to put Braun Breaker in, but Yeah, it's hardly inspiring creatively, but like I said, I don't think I'd pick those numbers as bad. Like I'm just looking here, WrestleTix. You are right, it is 40,000 tickets distributed at this point. And again, a lot of them are combo tickets, aren't they? They're set up for 45,000, and that's the Saturday. I think the Sunday is just a touch stronger, with 41,905. Out as well, and they'll be walk up. I think they'll pass 45. We'll get that.
I think they get close to 50.
If you do the math, that's 90,000 people, isn't it? It's not, because it's a lot of the same people coming twice, but they'll say that's what it is. I think that's that's an indication that this is a goer doing them over 2 nights, especially somewhere like New Jersey.
And particularly if they're being paid for the privilege of running there as well. I just think the only issue, and this ties into the San Diego story, is are they running it at MetLife when they're being paid for this? When they're being paid their site fee, they're working on the assumption of like, this is how many people they would have drawn for Mania, and now they're bringing in this. Are they going to look at this and go, well, is the site fee really kind of worth it? Particularly depending on how many people are just coming from New York and how many
give us
people
money in
are
the
coming
bank
from
instead.
out of town. Yeah,
like Nola next year.
That's it, isn't it? It starts. It would be churlish of me, having celebrated the successes of All In, and that was like, just below 30,000 for that, but they made it look incredible. WWE will make it look incredible. That's what they can do. I'm not expecting them to show like plenty of empty seats. I just think there's like almost like a bigger thing that they need to like think about for this, where we need to go, okay, where are like in terms of like when they're building up these cards. They don't see, like, we shouldn't be talking about them adding on matches the week before. If anything, that would have been a problem that AEW would have done. And instead, what AEW did for theirs was do it so many weeks in advance. And now, at the minute, it feels like the adding in of the street fight stip is like it's.
I think it'd be fine if it was a one-night show. I think it's for me. I think it's enough notice. I think they just had, but it's their own fault. It's the same thing we'd say about AEW. Well, you're the one who booked Saturday Night's Main Event, Crown Jewel, and whatever else. Clash in Paris coming up as well, or whatever that show's called. Like all of these shows, Italy, whatever they're doing it. That one coming up too. Like they've made it a clustered time, and they've made it so that they're the ones who booked 2 nights, so they've got to announce 2 nights worth of matches over the coming weeks. So they're just coming thick and fast. Like every day there's a new news story, every Raw, every SmackDown. There's another 2 or 3 other, but I would say a lot of them are stuff they had irons in the fire on. Not saying those fires were particularly warm or enjoyable, but they are fires. You could definitely call them that. But it's trucking on. I'm into Gunther Punk. Roman and Bron Breakker, I think, will be like a spectacle. I'm looking forward to seeing that. Cody Cena, very clearly we're keeping Travis Scott out the way, so maybe we could get something better this time. But I'm not expecting it with the current John that you're getting. But yeah, you've done the wise thing, mate. You've booked a holiday to Turkey that weekend, so it'll be me and young Matthew covering that weekend. So you've done you had that date booked well in advance, mate. You had that booked a month ago. It wasn't a purposeful thing like Matty.
Well, actually, about 3 months ago. But who's counting for this? As soon as I saw that, I went, I can skip that.
Fuck this. That happened to me when we get to AEW. Fucking the night I'm flying to Tokyo. We're gonna have to talk about this off air. They've announced Wrestle Dream as the day I'm going to Tokyo.
Oh God.
So. No, we're going to figure that out. Tokyo's another 2 hours ahead than even Vietnam is. So, yeah, might be you and Gareth that review unless I can figure something else. In fact, it probably will be.
Record at 10 in the morning, mate.
Steph will kill me if I try and do that. Unless we do a super, super early one. We'll see. But we'll see if Gareth can do the hot tag there. But there you go. That's your WWE stuff, really. And like I said, that really covers the TV too. I did watch Raw this week. So Gunther Punk was the highlight, Roman Braun as well. Oh, yeah, and Trik Williams cut a promo on The Undertaker, which obviously will be paid off on NXT tonight. So we'll see where that lands. Maybe you can talk about it in the big news dump, or I'll cover it on Grapple Live this week with Steph being my guest. But I'll mention more on that at the end. But yeah, and finally, WWE stories to get into. I saw this and thought of you, JP. Apparently, Jesse Ventura, if we all know Saturday Night's Main Event, didn't get a go in the booth. Well, according to Dave Meltzer, it was a conscious decision, and apparently it was due to the fiasco, quote unquote, that was Ventura's performance at Saturday Night's Main Event 39 in May, which I thought was fucking fantastic. JP, I had a great time with him, pointing out the bullshit of the cage and having a go at Drew and all of that stuff. But yeah, apparently they were all laughing at it backstage, but it was like, never again. And that's why you only got to do the pre-show. Well, not originally the pre-show, was it? It was like the open this time on Saturday Night's Main Event. Oh, poor Jesse.
They can't control him. How do you control Jesse Ventura? Spoiler alert: you fucking can't, can you? At all. So you can't have any of that in the slightest. But it's not our only and finally story.
Because speaking of men you can't control.
Oh God, yeah. Erstwhile rapper Rikishi says he would return to WWE as the wise man for the bloodline there as well. Of course he fucking would in there as well. He said he would do it for the fans and for his bank manager. But the creative would have to be right. I don't think it's ever really bothered Rikishi in the past about that. Looking at you, who ran over Steve Austin angle there as well. Obviously, he'd be joining his sons, the Usos and Solo Sikoa, his nephew Roman Reigns, and a load of what do you call him? Hard bloke. Forgotten his name for some reason. Who's his name? Who? The dad of the Tongans. Bloody Haku. Why his name never came to mind? I mean, he should be. You were thinking
Meng, weren't you, mate? You had Meng on the
I was thinking Meng. He should be the fucking wise man of this as well. Just goes in there and just beats shit out of people. Or we finally see how much of that story is absolute bullshit. There,
he's so funny, isn't he? He's the worst dad. He's the worst sports day dad. He is the worst dad who turns up. And I'm sure you've seen him, mate, on the side of the pitch trying to manage the team. That's even when I know it's clickbait, but when he does these stories, it's just a picture of him on his little throne with all bloodline regalia and fucking BSK stuff around him as he sits there he's talking down to the peasants and directing traffic. He probably does that. He probably literally is like that in the family, which I'm sure he wasn't in their younger days. But now they've all got a bit of fame. He's on it. Zilla's up next anyway, mate. So maybe when Zilla gets in,
we didn't mention him.
Performance we'll see. Apparently he's just got a rotten attitude. That's all the people seem to say about him. That he's a bit little cunt. And a lot of them seem to be little cunts. I don't know if there's a problem there in this. They're like that family, aren't they? In what were the Clamper families called in Corrie and Emmerdale and that? What's the prototypical?
The fucking Dingles and
something like that.
Oh, I'm trying to think of it.
What's his name? Who was who wrestled in Manchester? What were they called?
Les Battersby. The Battersbys.
Battersbys. It was the Battersbys. Yeah.
Bruce
They are
Jones.
the Battersbys of Samoans, I think, is what this family is. Because Zilla never makes himself look good.
He doesn't as well, but thank God we didn't talk about that. I was astonished. I was watching. It was the match was over, and I was like, "What? How long that went on for?" It was 2 minutes 45 seconds as they spoke about something called fourth rope, whatever the fuck that is. I have no idea. Was it wrestling meets hip hop? And I was like, by the end of the show, I thought we've seen a lot of wrestling meets hip hop.
You know what? Fourth rope is they took over for the culture show, didn't they? Remember WrestleMania weekend? It was what's this?
Nothing says for the culture more than Enzo Amore. Really, does it?
Yeah, there was a lot of those types of wrestlers on those
on
those Mania weekend shows. But yeah, moving over to AEW, we get to the G1. Got a couple of AEW news notes. Obviously, we covered on the weekend show the announcement that All In will definitely be at Wembley next year. So I don't know if there's more to say on that. But obviously, it was very weird that we didn't mention it on weekend show. But the way this was announced, it was just it wasn't a press release. I think a press release did come. I just didn't get sent it. Although I got sent a press release about the change of ROH pay-per-view date. So I'm still on somebody's email list, JP. I think I have been demoted from main roster press for AEW to developmental press, and I just get the ROH emails now. Or maybe Kerry Silkin's involved there with that email list, like he was in the mid 2000s. I'm not sure, but yeah, it was weird because people had said this on our Discord. All In was supposed to be on ITV, wasn't it, last Thursday? And they advertised it. It was on the listings. Yep. I even saw somebody, I remember who said it, they had mates in prison who were going to watch it because it was on ITV. And it was you can watch some wrestling and it's on tonight. And then it comes 9 o'clock or whatever time it was supposed to air, and they just didn't show it. It just wasn't on. There was just no explanation, nothing. It was just Mind or a Tag It or something like that came on.
Professionals was a big hit on there.
Was it the Professionals? Only for the next day for them to air it anyway. They aired it on Friday night with apparently a couple of cuts to Moxley and Hangman, but not much. They mostly showed it, and they mostly advertised it as well. They pushed it out. I've got the tweet here. They mostly pushed it out on their Twitter, and the ITV Sport Twitter of all places there with a big Texas death match on ITV4. Whoever thought you'd see that kind of advertised, and so it did air in the end at 9 o'clock. Maybe there was more editing to be done or what, but I don't know if that was behind it. But they've been, just to say, they've been John Williams, who's the scheduler, isn't he? Who often is in Meltzer's mentions, who often tweets stuff like this, did say they did incredible figures. If you missed it, what does incredible mean? Is it a record? Is it the greatest ever? Is it a million. I don't know. Who knows? And again, what stock can you really put in these ITV4 numbers? How much of it is pubs with the telly left on, people with the telly left on versus people who are tuning in for the death match? But yeah, he was talkative when he was asked a few questions. People were asking him, can AEW be in a better time slot? And he was saying, we try and be consistent. We have to consider times when we got snooker and darts on and stuff like that as well. But he was pushed, give us the number, tell us then. Reply there. Never actually got back to anybody and told us what the figures are. Maybe Meltzer will have it this week. But yeah, a weird one, because you would have thought that was the point I was going to make. That would be where they'd announce All In being at Wembley next year, rather than it just being a photo that Sean Ross Sapp tweets out, rather than the AEW Twitter account announcing it. You think they want to get the word out first on ITV?
Yeah, it's kind of incredible, isn't it? I mean, I did start watching it on ITV just to see how it came across. It was kind of interesting. It went on till 20 to 4 in the morning, is how long it was. So this Texas death match he's talking about would have been somewhere around
past the watershed then.
2:50 a.m.
Yeah,
for that to happen. And so if he's talking about record-breaking figures, yeah, maybe for 10 to 3 in the morning, it's doing record figures. What figures is it doing at 10 to 3 in the morning? That's the thing. It's not that 9 till 12 slot on there. I mean, I suppose just be grateful for it to be on there. I mean, the thing that it's the problem with them being on ITV4 is it just kind of gets lost in the shuffle. It gets moved about in there. They don't do the thing of like showing it live, which is really the obvious next step for them to be able to do it, and then show it on the Thursday as the repeat. Like do that at around 8-9 o'clock. That's clearly the most like sensible option for them to do. If anything, and I don't know, it'd be a big risk, and ITV would have to pay for it. But trying to get ITV should be looking into, can we show All In Wembley live? It would be a big sporting event. And that's what I find interesting, is it's the ITV Sports account rather than ITV Entertainment, which would take up so much of this stuff. And in which case that we always predicted, when they're showing other sports, particularly darts, because I think there's some degree of crossover, weirdly, with darts, that they should be plugging this stuff of like Dynamite, just having graphics appear at the bottom of the card and stuff like that. And those are the things that they could end up doing. So I don't doubt it did like great viewing figures for that station at that particular time of night, particularly the small hours one, because they would have had some. Yeah, it's a lot of caveats there. There's a lot of asterisks that's going in with that sentence. But it makes them think: are they ever going to go, pardon the pun, all in on AEW properly? It is like he said, and I do think in his defence, the darts and the snooker is your bread and butter of what you're putting on ITV4, but they could make more of an effort for it, couldn't they? They could try and push for more replays on ITV1 proper. They're not going to and
especially with Wembley to fill again next year. That's the other thing, isn't it? And we talked about it. Weekend show. We're pretty bullish. I think we came to the conclusion they might match the last number, just with the enthusiasm for the product and the year off. I think rather than dip again, they're probably going to do that number again. But ITV would help, wouldn't it? With that, and
massively,
would help everyone get more excited. I did say on a weekend show, I'll say it as well. Just keep an eye, folks. Our listeners are all right. Keep an eye on those hotel dates for August 31st. Is it the show next year? August the 30th. Get yourself on Travelodge and Premier's websites, because that's when they'll release the hotel nights for that 1 year in advance. I think some might be different. I don't know if hotels.com and booking.com are different, but there's your little tip of the day as well. But yeah, we've got plenty of time. I suppose they could do more in the meantime, but it wouldn't shut you with it if in a year it's exactly the same situation, and it barely gets a mention on ITV that this gigantic show at Wembley is coming up. But maybe they'll surprise us. But on that note, while we're talking, obviously we talked All In as well on weekend show as well, and obviously the pay-per-view numbers are looking quite good at this point. And as we talked about, it is sitting at 4th, I think, for overall AEW shows, 175,000 buys, which sits behind Punk's debut, fair enough, Sting's retirement, fair enough, and the first Wembley show, which was a gigantic show. Fuck you, Americans. Anyway, I'll let that go one day. But yeah,
sorry,
follow-up story on that. The post that actually we love our Americans. Americans. And you know I love America. I don't know why I get like that sometimes. Sorry. It's the Scouser in me. It comes out. It's like 10% of my personality.
The smart ones get it. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, we love our smart Americans who subscribe to us. But yes, Tony Khan did point out as well something we didn't cover, that he believes that it was the number in the building for All In was close to 29,000, and the actual number could be close to 30,000. Obviously, we talked about the final figure from WrestleTix was 25,671, but it's not unheard of for that number to get added on to, obviously, now that the dust has settled. And yeah, I guess it's notable though as well, we didn't get Nigel McGuinness or an equivalent stood in the ring announcing the number, did we either? So is it one of those ones where it's just going to be a fable? It's going to be what Tony Khan said versus what WrestleTix said, and Paul Brandon Thurston's going to be fighting people in his mentions for the rest of the year? Is that the way it's going to go?
I honestly think, is there a bias in this? Absolutely. WWE have always lied about their numbers. AEW, in the main, haven't. They've generally been pretty much like, I think,
still discrepancies though. I mean, a lot of that's like them saying, we always say it was in group tickets and stuff like that.
Again. Yeah.
Blue light tickets are technically sold, and then you give them out to knobheads like me who took a couple of handfuls. I was like 8 people when I went to the second All In, so I'm sure I counted as 8 people because I technically had that many tickets. So yeah,
I'd have loved that. 8 seats around me at fucking Wembley Stadium. I'd have been like,
it was good.
Pig it.
We settled for 4. We settled for 4. In the end, we let the other 4 go.
Yeah, exactly. But I kind of think if they were going to bullshit, why wouldn't you bullshit big on this and say it's close to a sellout and close to 42,000 and whatnot? Closer to 30,000 does tie in, on the day it was 25. Would there have been a big walk up? Well, the figures in terms of what they were selling, it was like 1,000 a day. It went very quickly from 18,000 to gone 25,000. That was like in the space of a week. So the idea of an extra couple of thousand coming in and taking it kind of closer to 29,000, yeah. I actually can believe that for being the case on there. This is the thing. This is the reason why. This also then ties in with the reason why TNA are never going to be like a number 2 company in the US. They're not going to do a gate of close to 3 million, which is, like you say, when you're doing your discounts, that's the thing that's really affected is the gate as opposed to the amount of people who are there as well. And 4th on the list of pay-per-view buys, 175,000 isn't to be sniffed at. I can't do the maths off the top of my head. That's probably closer to like sort of 8-9 million for them to be like kind of doing on a pay-per-view gross. That's pretty spectacular. And they would have got a good deal because they're doing so much stuff in the city of Arlington in terms of getting the stadium and whatnot.
Exactly.
Their numbers that like TNA at its absolute zenith when it did the Joe Angle stuff, what was it? Just over 60. Yeah, it was never like this. So I mean, that's what you're talking about, and their pay-per-view business has always tended to be strong. And I still expect
it's been the one thing they can rely on, and it's also a metric of this is the 4th biggest or 3rd biggest, which I've got a sneaking suspicion it'll end up being. It'll just overtake the Sting retirement.
Yeah,
I think that shows that interest was up in the way that we all thought it was. I'm just going to cut in though. We've got other AEW news stories here, but I was just looking in case the Collision numbers came in later while we were on air. Actually, one of the first news stories that comes up. This is from MSN.com. AEW adds sloppy Sin Cara to its 4-hour experiment. Ratings go down. This is on the MSN.com main page. It's like, what is this? Who's written this? Kane A. Knight? Who's fucking this is that? I'm going to go with the June 11th Dynamite and Collision rate 4-hour block, which feels a little bit old now to be having a go at. This is a story from 3 days ago. And yeah, using WrestleNomics to say that because 4 hours is too damn long for a weeknight wrestling show. I guess that's true, but the fuck's that doing on the MSN homepage? Sorry, just really weird.
But then what do Forbes have other than a bloke who does clickbait trolling?
Oh, it's from SB Nation. That's what it is. Because I get this with Everton as well. Do you ever get that like on your Google phone where it like collates all of like these shit websites and gives you like Everton have signed Messi, and it's like they haven't. Like you click it, they haven't signed Messi. It's nonsense. It's from evertonnews.tk.
Yeah,
probably what that
is. It is.
Sorry, it was the only Collision story I could find, but yeah, bollocks.
Oh, it's absolute fucking, oh God, those clickbait bastards, particularly with Arsenal. It's been absolute hell. Although apparently we have signed, we are very, very, we've got the here we go from Fabrizio Romano to be signing Victor Gyokeres.
That's a whole brand. You have to follow him, don't you, on Twitter? If you just have to, like it's annoying and you have to.
Yeah, there is. There's a lot of those in the know type blokes around the place. He's one of them. There's loads for Arsenal, and every club has them in there as well. Normally, Ornstein.
He's like a professional in the know, though, isn't he? He really is.
He is. And he never actually gives any opinion on stuff. It's just that he has the number of lots of agents, basically, and they contact him in order to release this stuff. But yeah, fucking hell, it's really disappointing seeing fucking MSN produce shit, particularly from a June 11th show. For fuck's sakes, I mean,
I used to love MSN. It was a great messenger app. I was always MSN over AOL. You know.
Yeah.
That's all my mates on there. What can you do?
Well,
but anyway, some of the quick AEW news before we get into the New Japan.
We have indeed. Wrestle Dream has been announced. It's set for St. Louis at the Chaffetz Arena, October 18th as well. So, yeah, as you're flying out to Japan, ironically, because it was launched as a tribute to Antonio Inoki, so it's what he would have wanted.
There you go.
For people
something to watch in the skies, and
go to Japan.
Technically, I'm flying on the 19th, but again, with the time difference, it will be it will be the same day as But I'll have something to watch. I'll take that as a positive.
And the number to keep an eye on, ticket sales wise, is when they ran the Dynasty pay per view that did 6,287 and a gate of 400,000 there as well, which is Moxley defeating Bryan and beginning of the whole Death Riders storyline, wasn't it? So
that was in 2020, wasn't it? Was that really what? Fucking hell.
Yeah, crazy. Fucking hell, don't I feel very
only a year
for this.
Wow.
And obviously it's following, we've got Forbidden Door next, that's August 24th, and then All Out September 20th. And so we've got this then for October, and then it'll be, I'm trying to think of what the other ones. The other ones will be, it'll be Dynasty will be on there, won't it? Will be one of the other pay-per-views.
I wonder to that point, for the ITV conversation, will Forbidden Door be on ITV? I don't think they've said. They showed All In because they always show All In, but that's because it's Wembley, isn't it? I assume they'll show Forbidden Door. I assume
he got asked.
Combo. Oh, did he?
He got asked, John Williams. He just didn't reply.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, that's him.
They should be looking at that.
Hopefully they'll push it as well. They should promote it. Like I say, with Wembley next year. Jesus.
Just the idea of a show doing 20,000 fucking people at the O2, for crying out loud. The other story, not a surprising story, because this seems to come up a hell of a lot. Ring of Honor date for a pay-per-view has been moved, and it's Death Before Dishonor
again,
and moved again on here. So it is now taking place Friday, August 29th. It will still be at the 2300 Arena, i.e. the former ECW Arena there as well. It's going to be part of the residency they do in Philly. That begins Wednesday, August 27th, goes through September 11th there as well. 3 Dynamites, 3 Collisions, and the Ring of Honor Death Before Dishonor as well. Originally, it was it was on July 11th. Then it got moved to September 5th. And now here we are with it being moved to August 29th in there. So, I mean, fundamentally, it shows what Ring of Honor is. It's a product that you can just move around, because I'd still expect it to do a good attendance. That wouldn't surprise me, because it's the ECW Arena, so it's only holding 1,000 people anyway. So, yeah,
it was one of those where they've moved that weekend more than once now, and moving it again does feel a little bit harsh on the fans. But tickets aren't on sale yet. I can't imagine anybody's building a life around an ROH Death Before Dishonor show like I would have been in 2005, but not now. It was an AEW pay-per-view, yes. I think that would be quite bad form, but it moving forward a week, it's not the end of the world, is it? I can live with that.
Yeah, exactly for that one. So yeah,
well, there we go.
Got that. Yeah.
I was going to say, we've got Dynamite obviously coming up this week. We got a Hangman Page versus Wheeler Yuta is taking place. It's set up through Dynamite and Collision. Tony Storm, Billy Starks has been announced as well. Also, much newsworthy, I would say, from Collision this week. Some good matches, as there often is. Colt Cabana's dead, and we learned that too. So that was a really weird angle where he got a one night push on the commentary team, only to literally get choked out by John Moxley. Nigel McGuinness, none of that ROH Brothers in Arms did not want to get involved. He directed Tony Schiavone not to get involved as well. So yeah, that was your big heat angle there. And yeah, the Death Riders continue to run roughshod, and I guess they're gonna have to with what we're building too. I thought the Kyle Fletcher and Dustin Rhodes angle was well done. I think that will I've been many questions about the booking around the match are all in, but as Garrett said, like that as a payoff match, I think could be strong. I enjoyed Ricochet and AR Fox again. Speaking of the month coming up, might have something Lucha Underground flavored coming up. Speaking of Prince Puma and was it Dante Fox? AR Fox was in that universe. But yeah, any thoughts on any of that or any excitement for Dynamite coming up this week? Let's hope they can. Like I say, it wasn't a bad show last week, Dynamite, was it? But it was. Yeah, it wasn't. It didn't keep my excitement going quite to the level it was at. It was a bit of all right, chill, mate. You know, let's just see where we go. Let's see what the build to Forbidden Door does, and it wasn't the most fantastic of shows.
Well, the problem is for building to Forbidden Door, is it's almost like you've got to remember that the G1 is on, so anything New Japan related is just going to happen through graphics or somebody literally just phoning. I think it was like Sonada did like a video on his phone to say it was him versus, him versus Jack Perry. That was a match that happened on a show.
Remember Jack Perry?
Oh God, yeah. Who? No idea. That's the thing is, it's like when it comes to build for that particular show, the only people you can really use are CMLL guys in order to push some of that. And in some ways, there's a lot more value in them doing that. So I would expect possibly that side of it, but I'm really not certain how it's going to look. So, and this is possibly the problem. And then we're kind of getting more towards All Out, of which it feels like we're going to get Athena, Tony Storm. So there'll be some movement on that. It's what are we going to be doing with Hangman Page? I'm probably not mad after that death match. He's wrestled 2 weeks in a row, but it's fine if he ends up crushing Wheeler Yuta. It's just hard after last week, because last week was much more, we've had this great show, we're just going to put on a night of wrestling on TV. Yeah. Is this one going to have a bit more focus? It's hard to focus on Forbidden Door. So is it going to be stuff more for All Out? Or is it going to be a case where it's wrestling TV and we don't really know what direction?
They're almost a victim of their own good layout, aren't they? Because how many times has it been All-In's finishing? It's like, shit, we got to announce 12 matches for All Out, like WWE with SummerSlam. They haven't got to do that this year, and we've got Forbidden Door in the middle. So I think that just gives them a bit of leeway to just do fun shows. Like I think Collision this week was a fun show, like the the 8-man tag main event. They get a bit interchangeable, those ones, but I thought Jet Speed looked good. Bandido continues to look good. It was fun, and like that's about all you can really say about those types of matches. Like I say, some of the Athena and Tony Storm getting a bit of build going for their stuff. Like I'm made up that they're following up with that, and that's it's clearly the direction with Athena winning the Women's Casino Gauntlet. So
I thought it was good.
A big match coming with her, and
she held her own.
Was good. Athena Elite Wrestling, I think was the line. She was good, and she, like I said, from the crowd, kind of made it look good as well. So good week for her. And outside that, it's just some matches, and Death Rider's knocked some people around, and it set up Hangman and Wheeler Yuta. It was a show, but so was Dynamite this week, and maybe a little bit more beat on the bone. Just not lots, just a little bit would be good. Saying that, I buried the lead there. Did you see Rush and Shibata? That feels like JP's personal G1 come to life. That it took place. Rush, who's like the 1 week he's not in trouble. Yeah, go on, put him in with Shibata, and then he'll be suspended for another 2 months. So you take it while you can get it with him.
Hey, and he got a clean pinfall win over him, which I was kind of like ever so shocked by there as well. And Roosh would be someone who, like, he's a funny one, isn't he? Because on his day, you think this bloke could be like a serious player for them because he's such a fucking wild card. But then he's never there. And then will he disappear off for months? But then it looked like what they're actually doing is they're just building him and LFI basically for the trios belts. That seems to be they've got rid of Preston Vance now. He's with that frat house faction, isn't he? So it's him, Drilistico, and Beast Mortos, isn't it? They're the are they the three? I think it is. Yeah. But it's I enjoyed the slap exchanges as well. Those fucking chops from Roos sounded like bullets.
Yeah, it shows you like how like what an embarrassment to riches AEW's got, that like they can just have a match on a random collision, batter each other, and like just literally like, you know, have a match that's as hard hitting as any match in the G1, and then 2 days later no one's really talking about it anymore, and it's just a match that Tony Khan could match book at any time he likes. Let's credence to your theory that the Shibata should be in G1s. Don't know if we could do this every night. Don't know if New Japan would allow it, but it was probably, honestly, if people haven't seen it, probably the best Shibata match I think I can think of in AEW, and it was hard hitting but in safe places as well. You've got to say as well. I think Roosh was on his best behavior, and that's about as good as you can do with Shibata these days. But yeah, probably the main highlight from Collision this week. But yeah, unless you got more on that, JP, that takes us into on finally AEW stories. If you're wondering where Bryan Danielson is, obviously there's been an update on him. Apparently he was on the Brie and Nikki show, and he said that he wasn't allowed to do any of the stuff. He's always fucking working, and he wasn't allowed to do any of the bumps he took, or to hit any of the moves that he took. More to the point, at the end of All In, and that the doctor looked at him and called him a fucking idiot afterwards, but kind of got it like just a bit of a slap on the wrist and let off with it. I don't know. He still says his neck is wrecked. Who knows? But in the meantime, our finally story on him, JP, is that while he's apparently battered and in no physical condition to compete, he is in fact training to be a firefighter right now, which is the most Bryan Danielson story I can possibly imagine. Training to be a volunteer firefighter, obviously in Washington, where he is in Aberdeen, Washington, is the plan, and that's what he's going to be busy doing, JP, instead of working the matches that he's very obviously going to be working in AEW within the next 6 months.
Does he need to do that?
Workers are going to work.
Does he need to run like into fires as well on the side?
He needs to focus on things, doesn't he? You know, he needs something.
Well, he's got as much
money. Hanging around with Darby Allin.
He's got as much money as he needs. He's not a bloke who's going to piss it up against the wall. He could just spend his time doing the pick up and drop off from school, and then growing some shit in the garden. He'd be happy to do that. He doesn't need to do. Do you know what I need to do? I need to stick on this, or I don't know. Maybe Brie likes the uniform. That's the only other thing I could sort of throw into that as well, that maybe that's the case for it. When he wrestles again, I mean, that'll be a really interesting one, because we're going to get it at some point with him and Moxley. It's just hard to know when in many ways, isn't it, for this? I mean, it feels like it's not going to really be all out, because it's going to be Darby and Moxley, I'd imagine, for that. So is it going to be Wrestle Dream again? Because it'd be the 1 year anniversary, it'd be the same arena again, at least, like not the 1 year anniversary. Maybe do it at Dynasty. There's a couple of other places in there. We are still going to get the odd match out of him, aren't we? And hopefully Wembley.
Brian can't help himself, but it'd be fun though if you got shaved by a fire. It'd be the best firefighter ever. You got all the technical sides of it, right? You know, he'd know what he was doing. He'd be the man to save you. But we got another AEW still. We'll save it. Yeah. I've got a little bit at the end we can throw it in with as well. But yeah, we built it the whole show. We should get into some New Japan and get into some G1, because unbelievable, JP, it was the G1 opening days this weekend, as well as everything else that's been going on. Not the most like Dynamite, not the most electrifying first few days, I would say. I managed to catch some of it live. Day one, I caught the last couple of matches live. Day two, I caught little bits and pieces live. So not a great time for me. It was like 3 p.m. I think the first day, and a bit earlier the second day as well. I know you guys are there. Kill for that with the 6 a.m. Sunday morning starts that New Japan will put you through.
I'm up anyway, mate.
Yeah. There you go. Actually, true. Yeah, it's my equivalent to your 6 a.m. is my 3 p.m. Pretty much. I live a charmed life. Sorry, mate. I apologize. But it's been obviously it's kicked off. I think that we've got to start with the biggest news story coming out of it, which is obviously it's been sidetracked a little bit by this Gabe Kidd injury, which he obviously announced on day two. Not after having a really cracker match with Takeshita on day one. It made me think, like, if he's coming out to the ring and he's saying this, that like, it's got to be serious, but they've left it open. They've said, they've not said he's ruled out of tomorrow morning's show. And obviously some people listening to this on Wednesday will know what happens there. It sounds like he's going to be forfeiting points going forward, and these cards can't afford to forfeit some of the matches he's supposed to be in, including obviously the Zach match we were supposed to get on day two. But maybe he'll be back tail end of the tournaments. Maybe he'll make a run for it and win all his matches or something like that in the last 4 that maybe he can do or something. I don't know, but it's a real kick in the bollocks, isn't it, for the G1 that could, as we said on the preview, there were a few bright spots sparks in this tournament, and even with a little bit of he's got one foot in the door of AEW with Gabe Kidd, he was one of the big ones, and taking him out is a big blow. Particularly
with 3 going through. So there was that extra spot for him to be one of those 3, and that's the issue here. Is so much of that booking is often predicated on who the tiebreaker is, and that balls up a lot of stuff. I mean, the only thing
they already lost Goto, which already fucked a load of main events as it was.
Now they've kind of been lucky in the sense that Taichi at this point in time is somewhat hot, so you can run like a proper underdog story and him getting most of those wins that he would have had anyway, and the fans being kind of fine with it. The only thing I was thinking that they could do on this is just have some ultra short matches where basically Gabe Kidd has to come out and just smash shit out of people on the outside and do stuff before the match starts, bring him in and pin him. And so there's not actually much work going on. I wondered, was it the point where, I was trying to think of where did it happen in terms of the knee injury? Because there was a couple of points in the Takeshita match. I didn't know whether or not it was the one where Takeshita went for a German and then he flipped up and he landed on the knee. But then there was one where they had like a kind of, there was like a dive from Takeshita in the ring and he landed and he appeared like he landed on his knee in there. But it's like, I mean, normally, like the only time I can remember this happening was when Nakamura got injured in G1. This might have been around like sort of 2015, 2016. Would have been 2015 because he left in 2016. So at that point, and that was like they managed to cover for it and managed to get away. But it's just that these booking plans, as much as we may not like them, they have to be intricately thought out in terms of who can win, who can lose, because that tie break stuff is that's the really crucial bit. That's the thing that really needs to be kind of like played up there. But how they get around it, I don't know. That's the only thing, is if they don't want him to lose points and they still think he'll be back, is almost playing some of the War Dog stuff, or just playing the fact of him as a wild man, beating the shit out of people on chairs up on the stage. Do that, go in there, pin them, and that way then you're protecting the person you beat if he's having them lose there as well.
I could see that.
It's as much of a shame because the match he was going to have that night was against Zach. So there was,
and there were probably big things coming from that, you would assume, like having Brendan Rita getting a win over Zack Sabre, maybe the more the direction they're going for some reason. But like Gabe is the type of person I can't remember if I picked. Obviously, credit to Connor for doing the grapple pick'ems, but I can't remember if I went with that one. I had to do mine last minute. I had a problem with some refreshing on my fucking Google browser, so I'm actually doing all right. And I think that's literally because it was just guesswork. I was like, fuck it, you'll win. I didn't put too much thought into it, but I don't think anybody had Brendan Rita beating Zack Sabre Jr., but I think a few had. Gabe maybe upsetting him being one of the stories we had here.
Did I have that? I think I might well have had that. Or it's a difficult one because again, you're talking champion versus champion, aren't you? You're talking global champion versus IWGP champion. So like a big enough deal for them to be able to do. It's a disappointment, but they'll hopefully get at some point round to that match at some stage. The thing that they've really got to hope as well, obviously Forbidden Door, it looks like we'll probably be getting Will Ospreay versus Gabe Kidd. Are we going to be getting that now? Because I know there's been doubts over Ospreay. If you got doubts over
more
Gabe
serious
Kidd as well,
than, I know you mentioned it on Weekend Show. Like I hadn't seen the subsequent report and that it was worse than thought, but massive hammer blow, isn't it? Like Forbidden Door might as well not take place. I guess you could put a Carter in a big spot instead, but would like to hope Ospreay gets him, I don't want to say gets himself together, but finds a way to be able to do that match by then. That'd be devastating.
Yeah. So, hopefully they get around it as well. But, what have you made in general of we've had 3 days now. I've managed to catch up with day 3, not long before recording as well. What have you made of G1 so far?
It's been okay. It's just taking place in front of me, really. I mean, does it give away the game that like the thing I've got most notes on from night one is Tanahashi's new haircut? Like, what the fuck's he doing? Like, it looks like me nan after she went the hairdressers because we had a big christening coming up or a big night out. Jesus Christ! And obviously, to be fair, I shouldn't say that because like the match with Taichi was really good, and you know they played into it really well in that like Tanahashi's high fly flows and pretty much everything he did looked like shit. But like Naito, that's kind of part of the story now where it's like he is fucking banged up, and yet it should take him a while to get him to the top, and yeah, it probably should look like shit when he hits it, and they made like that selling kind of part of the story. So I like that on night one. I'm surprised it's Callum Newman. Clearly that means Tanahashi's high on him, but I thought Callum Newman's been doing good work over the days, and yeah, probably, I don't know if he does it just seem a big thing to beat Tanahashi on day 2, but maybe it indicates we're telling the story like we thought with Tanahashi, where it's not going to be he wins until he loses a big one. He's just going to lose more than he wins. I think he's got to now, hasn't he, going forward? If he's losing to Callum Newman, he's probably going to be losing to a lot of other people on the list as well. But that'll be interesting to watch, and seeing these crowds get to see him that one last time is worth it for these main events. It makes for nice moments, and like you say, the crowd are very much behind there. Taichi as well, so yeah, enjoyed that. And obviously Ren Narita going over Zack Sabre Jr. is the other shocker we can talk about too. But yeah, it's the Tana story mostly for me. I think Takeshita's been the one from an in-ring point of view. I know it'll probably split thought the El Phantasmo match, especially I think I saw our friend Bashil going in on the finish of that one where it felt like El Phantasmo just did every indie movie possibly knows, most of them badly, to beat Takeshita, but it was a genuinely good match, and obviously Takeshita Gabe, until we found out more about it, was a great match. I'd say he's been the highlight from an in-ring point of view. I think some of the low light as normal has been the commentary, but I won't go on that too much. Not half of the commentary, or maybe 2/3 of the commentary, because Zack Sabre Jr., Jesus Christ, he sounded like, remember when Jim Smallman used to do the Progress commentary and he just sounded bored, like he was doing like the snooker commentary thing, like the night 2 main event, like killed it for me because that's all Zack was doing. He sounded like he was lying down on his bed, like he's never heard commentary before and he doesn't know what it's supposed to sound like, because he found it so fucking bored and so not into like anything that the other lads on commentary were asking him. Yeah, that was a bit of a lower light too. So yeah, mixed bag really. And obviously there's other stuff we can get into.
I enjoyed actually Driller Maloney's commentary on day 3. He just seemed like he was really enjoying it. Like, and he was swearing a few times as well, which I thought was a big no-no for him to be able to do. And it was funny because it was one of the lines he just went, I don't know, mate. I'd just say fuck that if that happened. I was like, Jesus, Dan, you're playing with fire here, mate. Like you're in with these people. Let's not blow it.
Sounds like I'm stood in the corner at the 229 and the type of conversations you might have had there. Yeah.
Oh, he's
2 years ago, obviously.
Incredibly sweary bloke when you do meet him as well. I mean, for me, there's another story outside of the ones that you mentioned in terms of like the main one with Tanner as well, and House of Evil just shitting the bed as you would expect House of Evil to do. The other one for me is
House of Torture, but yeah, it sounds good too.
Yeah.
Both bands, yeah. The wrestler could be called Torture, and the stable could be House of Evil, and it'd be
Did I say House of Evil? Oh, fucking hell! It's so dreadful. The fact that the match he's lost so far was the Sonada one today, which was just a fucking. It was just like a joke of a thing, and it was more about them taking out the people on the outside, like commentators and timekeepers and stuff like that. That's what the story of that match was. I think for me, the other story is, and it ties in somewhat with the Tanner stuff, is which of the younger stars are being positioned in certain ways. So, for example, and I'll always call him Oleg. Oleg winning today, and
beating Tanahashi as well. There you go. That tells you.
And he's raw, and there's obviously like a way to go, but he kind of like he's a fresh face in the same way that I've enjoyed Rohei Oiwa. I think there's something there with him, and obviously they headlined with Yota Tsuji and Yu Yamura, which was a good match. And do you know what I loved about today's show? There wasn't a match that went 20 minutes. Didn't need to. It fucking didn't need to. That was 16 minutes, and that was the main event. And I don't think anyone felt like they were being shortchanged. I think
Tanahashi's gone over 8 yet, has he, or over 9? Oleg was probably the slightly longer. The Callum Newman match was about 6 minutes long. Like the video on New Japan World is about 10, but like 3 minutes of it are like the start of the show, or like the build to the G1 tournament, more like the start of the G1 part of the tournaments. Like, they're not throwing them out there for too long.
Did the Tai Chi match That went 20 minutes.
Oh, I guess there's that. Yeah.
That feels like that might be. But even then, those first 10 to 12 minutes were very much like kind of quite calm stuff.
Yeah.
So you'd be
and that's night one, isn't it? So
yeah,
that makes sense.
But it going 9 minutes, I'm absolutely fine with. I just suspect this is him putting over all the young lads. And it's really which of those young lads are going to be positioned in certain places, because it feels like a lot of them are being kept relatively strong. I mean, Callum Newman falls into that mix. I don't expect him to get through the playoff, but he'll have a couple of wins. He is slowly filling out. He's not where you would like. He's not in the position where you think he's a credible headliner. Let's be honest. But he did a good job against Goto. They probably have a fair bit of faith in him, and they view him as a long-term project. He's better off there than being anywhere else. So I'm kind of fine with that. And I think that's it, isn't it? It's like it's seeing the problem is with Ren Narita getting that win against Zack, and I thought it's like good match, but at the same time, it's like you need to get him out of that fucking stable. That's the problem. That's the thing that holds everything.
It was a
back.
very good match, to be fair.
Yeah,
and it was one of those where you're watching it thinking, I don't buy any of these false finishes, and then he won. It's like, oh shit! Well, okay, I should have bought them then.
And it reminded you of when he came back from Excursion, and they brought him in as what was going to be a Shibata type, which is just how he should have ended up staying. Of just like this is new Shibata, and just put him in there like that. So it's still hard to get. It's being very, very evenly booked, which is how I read the ELP Takeshita. Takeshita's going to have to eat some losses. ELP is a title, so it's just like, well,
I wouldn't have guessed that though. I think I went to Takeshita and the pick'em was like, yeah.
I would have gone to
Takeshita. Say it, yeah.
So I think we're going to get for the most part, and obviously this is with the Gabe injury angle, injury story in there as well, is a lot of 50-50 booking and a lot of last day stuff. I think that's what they feel is going to be the drama. For me, it's all about which of the young lads are they going to go with, which of the young, and I think I'm looking at like Oiwa in particular, and possibly an Oleg Bolton to be, people to maybe get out of that A block. It's a funny one for this G1,
and it's how much the booking is blown up now by Gabe. Like you'll have day one, like. I reckon if they'd have known what they knew, Gabe might have beat Takeshita, because they probably going to need that one win. If he does come back into the tournament in 4 matches' time, they're going to be like, shit, we could have given him an extra one there and we've lost it. But, I'm sure that was a coupon buster for a lot of people. I mean, that would, like I say, that was an overall highlight for me for day one. Yep. Like you say, it's fun to watch the young boys come up, but like not much notable outside of that really for day one. Tsuji Sanada was what it was. Ren Narita Zack, like I say, a bit on that in the end. Once actually saw what they were doing, so that was something. And Tanahashi Taichi was better than any right it had to be in, like you say, 20 odd minutes. Is an ask for Tanahashi and those elbows for knees, but I think he did his absolute best. And yeah, Taichi will be like the sleeper story of the tournament.
Yeah,
day two, Bolton and Roy was fun to see, 2 of the next generation to go back and forth, but I didn't think it was up to much out of that. Yoshihashi has been mostly anonymous for me. Didn't think much of him and Ren Narita. David Finlay, like, come day 7, I'll be skipping those matches with him and their Sanada. Same for, to be honest, I like Great Khan. He's like the work rate guy of that mushy middle of guys that I just don't really want to see. Evil Sanada, Dave Finlay, all of them, but Shingo dragged them to something. Evil Yota Tsuji. Evil certainly dragged Yota Tsuji in the opposite direction of where he should be. And like I said before, LP and Take was probably the match of the night. And yeah, so that's probably unfair on Taichi Uemura, but as I say, the commentary took me out of that a little bit as well. As much as good as the work was, and as you said, as good news a story it is, with all this bad news that Taichi is riding this momentum so far. I don't know if we'd have similar highlights from the first 2 days.
Yeah. I pretty much the same there. I'm just looking at them on there. I mean, I have to admit, I kind of understand why people are behind Taichi as well. There's limitations to his work, but he's smart enough as well. I was watching him incredulous to go, this guy was like in the junior division for fucking ages. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
How was he ever there? That just seems like
it's gigantic.
Yeah, he's an absolute fucking monster there as well. Again, I viewed it as like, I didn't think much of Driller Maloney versus Shota Umino, but it shows what they think about Driller Maloney.
Yeah, they're clearly behind him.
They are really clearly behind him on that. I think of all the days, and it might have been because there was only the, we were limited by the.
It was just
amount
A
of
block
matches
today, wasn't it?
It was just A block today, but I did kind of enjoy it. I have to say, obviously, Sonata versus Evil, it's not good, but it was 6 minutes 33. I'll take that. That was it.
I think it was still a bad 6 minutes 33.
Yeah,
but yeah,
it was bad.
It struggled to hold my attention.
Relatively short. Oleg Boltin, Hiroshi Tanahashi. I mean, because they obviously played in the story that they were like never trios champions as well in there. Oiwa defeating Callum Newman was fine. It was decent. Not much really.
That's the G1 for you. He beats Tanahashi one day, and there we are with Rohei Oiwa. People will remember the Tanahashi win more than they remember this.
They will. But I thought Taichi Finley was actually quite good. I thought that was okay. I didn't think that was particularly bad. And again, didn't overstay its welcome. Much like Yotsuji Yuyamura.
I was really good. I like that. Yeah, it was a good main event.
It did. It felt like it was a good main event. It felt like the crowd are very much like Yuyamura's. Like again, Suji is the one who will always get kind of more of the plaudits and stuff like that. If Yuyamura if he hadn't had that injury, he'd be in we might be talking about him in very different terms and going, this is a guy who should go through and win. But he is one of those guys like a Suji, like a like Rohei Oiwa. Even I suppose you put Ren Narita into the mix as well. Oleg Boltin, like people, Gabe Kidd through that dojo system, and you think, okay, all right. There's a good 5-6 of these guys who you think you can kind of go with, who have enough about them and are also wanting to impress. They've got as much to kind of try and prove in all of this. So I enjoyed that. I thought it was actually a relatively easy watch.
The thing about this year, it's I don't know. It happened last year. We did our best to cover the whole tournament, but you get to those middle and days where it is just one block and the venues are getting smaller. I felt a little bit of that today, to be honest. It was oh no, this G1 drudge is going to be coming sooner rather than later. But the last two matches kind of got me through. Yeah, once you take one of the bright sparks out of it, I can't lie and say my enthusiasm has gotten any stronger than it even was on Weekend Show, and it wasn't very strong there. We're going to cover it all, and obviously we'll be picking up highlights for people to recommend. And the ones we mentioned there are probably the recommended matches so far. But yeah, the more interesting story is what's going to happen behind the scenes, depending on what does happen. Obviously with Gabe's injury, but obviously we don't know what time of record what's happening on day 3, and we do know that obviously Shingo Gabe Kid is announced. Day 4, sorry, Shingo Gabe Kid is announced, but we'll see if it does take place. Zack Sabre Jr. versus Shota Umino, Konosuke Takeshita versus Great Okay. El Fantasmo versus Ren Narita. That could be all right. And Yoshihashi versus Trilla Maloney. Zack and Shota, your Wrestle Kingdom rematch, mate. There you go. Taking place in Nagata, Japan.
Oof, I have to say,
looking at 10 UK kickoff, not too bad. If that make it half 4 kickoff here for me. I got no excuse. I'm sure I'll throw it on.
Yeah, you really have no excuse. You're literally
annoying, that, isn't it? I haven't got a job either. Shit, I'll have to watch it all.
You've got no choice but to watch it there as well. The shame is,
I'll be hanging around with Action Kid. I'll do that instead.
Yeah, exactly. See if Action Kid fancies watching a bit of this. Come on, he can watch a bit of this as well.
I think he followed us on YouTube. He asked for me WhatsApp and everything. With pals now. So there you go. Maybe watch it.
Good lad. Give us a shout out when he puts up his next vlog. The thing is, of all the matches that are happening tomorrow, Shingo Gabe Kid would be the obvious one that would stand out. And even if it takes place, is it going to take place in any kind of really big, meaningful way? I'm just not that's the problem with it. Outside of it, Zack versus Shota Umino, it's a match I never want to see again because I watched it at the fucking Dome and I was bored and I was just like, why is Shota Umino here? He shouldn't be here. And it doesn't appear like, from a booking or character perspective, that they've learned what they can do with him. That's the problem. I'm just put him in a fucking tag team. Just do something just away from singles wrestling, because there's not a whole lot there for me to really take on board. Maybe to you mentioned about Great O'Khan being one of the works. Him and Takeshita will probably be good. And if Ren Narita's got a bit of fire in him versus ELP could be good. It's just if you get House of Wankers turning up, isn't it? And ruining the
that
whole
should be the
fucking
name.
piece. Yeah,
House of Evil, House of Wankers, it all works.
House of Arseholes as well. So yeah, but the time most people listen to this, it will already have taken place. But it feels already like, unfortunately, with that match being the way that it is, that might be an iffy day that we have tomorrow. But then if they learn the lessons they did today, just don't have the matches go 15 minutes max. Like, you're still delivering, you still got you can still get away with that stuff. You don't need to fucking kill people with 25-minute matches for no bloody good reason.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, there we go. Any other thoughts on that, or anything else you've been watching?
Well, I've seen a little bit of it. I've seen the first match, but Noah had some interesting title decisions because they had
probably going to go see Noah, They got a Thursday show the week I'm in Tokyo. Them and I think Dragon Gate have got a show as well. So one or the other, I'm probably going to end up at, I think.
Well, if you do, the man to see still, even though he lost the GHC heavyweight belt, Ozawa, it still comes across like a fucking star. And it was the way he lost to Keno. It was like a sort of shock knockout. It was just like he did he did a kick to the head and he just went out and the referee stopped it. And it was just like a real, like, kind of a shock finish out of nowhere. But the job of it, really, it wasn't over then. And they were doing things where, like, he does like kind of like break dancing in the ring and stuff like that. Ozawa does. Keno was trying to imitate it as well at the same time, which at a place like Kurikan really works well because Ozawa is so over and he looks like a fucking star. Just looks $1 million. Like the kind of bloke you just go, yeah, you do strap the rocket to him. So I think they just did this shock title change in order, which really was there for Keno to lose the belt to Kenta the day afterwards on the day 2 of that event. And then obviously they'll go back to, Kenta having a few matches and then his match with Ozawa, who already has a win over him already. So it was a shock decision. I think I would have been very critical of them putting the belt on old lads in the past. But in some ways, I'm all right with this if it's the idea is Ozawa to then take the belt off Kenta a few months down the road and Ozawa to have his own kind of feud and maybe to come in as a proper babyface rather than the heel he is, because he is a babyface for all intents and purposes. That's where he is at this stage. You just see the reactions. He's just so fucking massively over and he's just got buckets of charisma as well. And I think if he, like, for them to do this, it was just more of the kind of like the shocker for them to do along the way. And yeah, I'm not against it, put it that way. He'd beaten pretty much everyone else there was to beat. So the idea of them going to this title switch isn't the worst thing. So yeah, I could have been worse, put it that way. But then they'll just want to. They're going to
less than know a story.
Yeah, exactly. Classic hour 3 content here, isn't it? It really is. Bit of cheeky, bit of Noah being thrown into the mix. Exactly. Yeah.
Well, on that note, quick couple of news stories. Obviously, high stakes taking place this weekend. We're going to be previewing that on the weekend show, I believe. I don't think I'm out with them. Gareth and Matty are going to be down there for that one in Wolverhampton. So yeah, maybe you'll see them round. Are you heading to a TP? You got your bond? Nope. If I was in the UK, I'd have 100% gone. It would have been it looks like it's going to be one of those classic, maybe Wolverhampton nights, but one of those classic Rev Pro nights. It's a cracking little card they've put together.
Yeah, they've booked a hotel for this as well. And I'm just a Matty at a Rev
Red
Pro
Wings.
show.
It'll be
traveling to a Rev Pro. Classic. That's classic hanger behaviour. That to get themselves in there. Maybe they'll see Bushi without a mask, much like when we saw.
Have a word with Joe. See if he fancies
Phoenix
it. Fancy a trip back to Wolverhampton to see the Beast Mode. Like, look, the card's really strong. Like, Mercedes Monet obviously is the big draw. I think that's what's got Matty there. But, like, against Sapphire Reed, Oku RKJ, I know what it's going hot on that taking place. But there you go. There's your Summer Sizzler big men's match. The LIJ team of Naito and Bushi taking on True and Lacey, which is interesting booking. Robbie X versus Beast Mortos. Jay Joshua versus Shah Samuels. I shouldn't skip over that, actually. Beast Mortos making the trip, obviously a late edition. I imagine he'll be on the same flight as Mercedes coming out. And like I said, I think True and Lacey are in there for LIJ to just do their shtick so that the Young Guns and Grizzled Young Veterans could probably have the good tag team match of the night. But people will get to see Naito. It's going to be great, and I'm sure people will be made up. TK Cooper, Trent Seven on that show, and Sons of Southampton versus the CPF team as well. JP, obviously, we'll give it the full preview on weekend show. But yeah, Mercedes making the most of her time while she's out here.
Oh, she is indeed. It's not just Wolverhampton she's going to. She's going somewhere which I'm just going to make an assumption is a fuck of a lot nicer. And I've never been to Poland, but that's where she's off to next. She's off to Kozlo, Poland, near Gliwice. I don't know where either of those places are. I don't even really know where Warsaw is in the scheme of things, other than I know it's the capital. And that's Sunday, July 27th. So while she's out there, I'm assuming the old Woolly Bully's heading out there as well at the same time. You might as well, two for the price of one. Yeah. She's going to take part in a meet and greet. This is for Prime Time Wrestling that's in there as well. So, yeah, it's an interesting one. She's ticked that Poland box that clearly is the place she's always wanted to go there as well. In June, I didn't really realise this at all. In June, she was in Vienna at EWA Prata Kachen, where she won the European Wrestling Association Women's Championship. No fucking idea of this. I'm today years old finding this out. I'm sure this is... How did this pass us by? Makes no sense. But, yeah, do you want to triple threat
this entire time?
Lexa Varlo and Mila Schmidt. Two people I've never heard of and easily could have made up there as well. But
coming to a weekend show near you, 100% is. Coming from Jay. There'll be a new section on it, Eastern Europe, on the previews on the weekend show. But yeah, in all fairness, this is funny to see. Obviously, they're doing a European vacation, it seems, and doing a bit of a tour with some of those late date announcements as well. But it does look a strong card. This RevPro card.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah. Wish I could go. I really do. Looks like it'll be at a cracker night out. But yeah, I wonder what they'll.
Good crowd.
I believe it. Obviously, the old Fight Club Pro, fan base will come out. But yeah, better legacy for Wolverhampton. Exactly. Yeah, obviously been there a couple of times ourselves. Better, but I'd rather Red Pro running it than some of the other chances who've been trying to revitalise Wolverhampton as like a wrestling town, haven't they? Yeah, I think it's in good hands. I hope it comes a regular home. Love the hangar. Always had great nights there, despite obviously the horrible stuff all around that you've always got to reference when you talk that. But we could put it together a fresh coat of paint. And obviously, speaking of the horrible stuff, Trent Seven being there, won't hear from a drawing point of view, will it? Obviously,
no.
I'm sure he'll be doing some of the local promotion type stuff too.
It's that type of stuff. I think they're doing Sheffield as well on the Sunday.
Yeah, that's a Sunday show network, isn't it? On Sheffield, I know you can see Naito in Sheffield. Like that's pretty. That's old school Brit Res stuff, that isn't it? That reminds me of like back in the day where like Masawa would come over for like speaking of the wrestling channel, Full Circle, do like the wrestling channel show, and they'd be working for like some shit indie in Glasgow the night after in front of 70 people, and it'd just be like, what a fucking world you live in. I'm not calling Sheffield a shithole. I'm not calling Scotland a shithole. I'm just saying, like, that's a small venue, the network. So that would be fucking cool to see Naito in such a place. Like, again, if I was in the north of England, I'm sure I'd be considering doing a weekend with Red Pro this weekend.
It is. For any of the criticisms we've had of Rev Pro, the one thing you'd say, like, they're a proper national promotion. If you just think of, like, how many places they are running outside, just did Coventry. They do Stevenage, obviously not long before that for the British J Cup. They're obviously do London, like loads. Still doing Portsmouth and Southampton dates. Would like him to go to Manchester again and do the Vicky Warehouse. That would be good for that. But yeah, I mean, as Simon says here in the chat, he's wearing a T-shirt. He's wearing a T-shirt both days. Like, don't make any fucking mistake. If he gets in the ring, like, honestly, you've done well. That's as much you're going to get out of him as well. Like, he's really not going to do that. And if he pulls off a Destino, then fucking fair fucks him. Bushi's doing the work for these trips as well.
Very true. Well, there we go. That's coming up as well. But what else do we have? I've lost the document, JP. We've gone long. We're in the old hours, this JP.
We are indeed, aren't we?
Wild time of night for me. What else? Oh, yeah, there was a couple of bits of, I don't know, I shouldn't laugh. It's not good news, is it? Bad news / good news stories. I'll start with this one. Apparently, Ric Flair's announced that he's now cancer-free. Do you believe him? It's a horrible thing to say, but it's what he said, and the Observer pointed it out on the front page, and I hope it's true. I think is the thing to say. Absolutely. Yeah, so there we go. Hopefully that's a good news story there. Obviously, he went public last week that he had skin cancer, and it sounds like he's based on his Twitter, which I'm sure he runs himself. in a better place. The other health-related story I had, we'll be ending on a lighter note, I promise, folks, was obviously, and it is a genuinely sad story, the Buff Bagwell story of obviously undergoing a leg amputation surgery. And I'll spare people the picture that's out there as well. But obviously had a car accident in 2020, ended up in jail, and yeah, part of it was he caused himself an injury there, and eventually now he's had to get his leg amputated. There was a weird clip on Maven's YouTube channel. He mentioned it here in the run-up story. I came up on my YouTube where like he's made a whole video about going to visit Buff and makes a big display about how he went in the middle of the night and he'd do anything for Buff. And it's part of me is like, I wonder where they crossed paths. That's a bit weird. And then the other part of it's like, anything for a YouTube clip in it these days. But like, hopefully, he's doing well, and hopefully, that's a horrible thing. Obviously, when it happened to Jimmy Ray, it was just awful to live through. And hopefully, he can make a recovery. But a wild story to kind of follow.
Yeah, he's made reference that he wants to still get in the ring at various points. It's like, just give it up. Think about concentrating your health. Because
exactly.
The main thing is that he's sober, and that's it. And it's just like, look, honestly, just settle on that. Settle on getting your health as much in order as much as anything else. Don't worry about wrestling. There is a whole convention circuit and things like that, and the meet and greets that he can do, and to be absolutely fine for that. But he never needs to do any activity in the ring at all. Which does lead nicely into the last story here.
People thought I forgot. I did not forget. And finally, just for JP.
Wow. And they said he was going to do it. This was always the hope, wasn't it? Paul Walter Hauser, who is in the latest Marvel $250 million blockbuster that is Fantastic Four: The First Steps, which has got some decent reviews. The embargo's come out today. Yeah, he went on the blue carpet at for the event.
Why is it
well.
blue? Fantastic Four. Oh, right.
Fantastic Four. Yeah, that's why. And what happened? He wore his Proteus Championship belt on there as well, with star of Poker Face, who's also in the film, Natasha Leon, as well. God. Like, he's wearing that on there, which I know there'll be a couple of people who'll think, well, this is just going to boost fucking business. Spoiler, it won't. Him wearing a belt on a fucking... This is just a bloke who's... I mean, why? Why? Like, he it's not that his role is the lead role in this. It's not fucking tiny either. And he's got the Naked Gun carpet to walk in a month's time, which I don't know if he's following the footsteps of the film. He should trip up and fall onto a naked statue or something like that. That would be more in keeping with how that would go as well. I mean, why this man is a champion in the first place, I don't fucking know. Like, why is he doing this when he's got these kind of roles on the go?
That's a big fucking role. It's a big fucking film. I know people are going to the premiere on Thursday in New York and stuff like that.
He's a villain in this film. He is. It's a speaking role. Like, seriously. Like, this isn't this is not like blinking you'll miss it. This guy is like very much a featured part of it. This is fucking incredible. But he still has time to work indie dates. He worked Colby Carino in a high school. I was just looking at it, I was like, why? Mate.
Loves it, mate. Loves the business.
Oh, fucking does he? Find someone who loves
the
you the
man
way
is
this
he's
man
played,
loves wrestling.
The mole.
Yeah, that's it.
The hands. Not to be confused with Jose Lothario. He's
he's our mole man, isn't he? There as well. I mean, this is like incredible. And the thing is as well, this is going to be a massive film. It's got good reviews. It's got like a whole, like, it's got that little bit of like, he's going to be like the one of the biggest films this summer. Won't be the biggest. That'll probably still be Lilo and Stitch. But yeah, it is. It's incredible how this bloke is just turning up with a fucking Progress title of all things as well on a fucking red carpet and a massive fucking blockbuster.
You know, if you could tag me in this today, JP, like 6, like make sure you cover it, just for you, mate, and you make it happy.
I saw this and then I read the review and I just went, right, is this actually any good? And by all accounts, it is. It's very much standalone Marvel. You don't need to have watched like 9 TV programs.
You're gonna go
and 17 films. I'll watch it. I mean, the chances I'll be when I get back from holiday,
film club,
as opposed to. I'm game. I'm game for his films and TV. If we covered like Blackbird, you'd be like, this is a really good TV show. I can see why he won awards. You'd be like, yeah. I even watched The Luckiest Man in America, which is kind of odd just in terms of just the format and everything else and how it's made. But yeah, bloody hellfire. How's he in this position? Fuck knows. Oh. Christ only knows.
Well, there you go. Give the people what they want, and it's JP versus Paul Walter Hauser.
Progress cinematic universe.
God,
I'd love to
universe I want to be in.
Sit down with him and just go, mate, you're clearly doing all right with this acting game. It's worked out all right for you. Why the fuck are you doing this? Just each and every time. Like, it does in some ways make me want to go into Progress just to ask him this question and then just go, I love wrestling. It's like, mate, I love wrestling as well. If I had a job that paid me millions of dollars, I wouldn't be fucking wrestling. I'd be watching wrestling, cool. Sit there in a fucking box, have season tickets to everything. Sit ringside for every fucking event. Why not? Why the fuck is he doing this? It makes no sense. Mental behaviour. Mental.
Incredible. Well, that was the way to end the show. I think that kind of covers everything in wrestling, including Paul Walter Hauser. An almost 3-hour show, JP. We're back to our old habits here. It's got to be said. But if you want more of that, obviously we've got plenty coming up at the minute. Steph is going to be my guest by popular demand back on Grapple Live this week. What are we going to talk about? Well, it's up to you. With Grapple Live, they're interactive. That's my plan with those. So let me know. And on the Discord, which you can join for free, the link is always in the description, or throw a comment on Patreon or whatever else. It'll reach us, and let me know what you'd like to chat Steph about. Maybe Evolution from last week was one of the subjects I know Steph wanted to talk about, but there might be some other fun things for us to chat this week on Grapple Live. And yeah, the limited run of that will continue. I think I could promise it's going to run through August. After that, we'll see. Maybe Patreon, who knows? But we're trying it out at the minute. We'll see how that goes. And obviously, the video. If you like video, we're doing more video than ever, aren't we? Video version of the. We're coming for you, Action Kid. Video version of the new stuff out there at the minute as well, JP.
Yes.
To add to the slew of things that we have on there for YouTube members and for patrons. And
I promise, last time I started off with, this won't be that long, this one, 27 fucking minutes.
Your exact words, Chris. It was only one of them half an hour ones.
in this box. And it was a half an hour one. So I will do my best to cut down on it. There'll probably be stuff like, how much?
More value, more content.
Yeah.
Use the Tony Khan argument. The longer it is, the better it is. More for your pay-per-view dollar.
Exactly. So, yeah, maybe you'll get me between the hours of 9 p.m. and 3:40 a.m. just talking fucking wrestling to myself in a room. That sounds like the definition of madness, and it feels that way as well. Where do you get all this goodness, you're wondering? All of this content? Well, patreon.com/grapple or youtube.com/@grapple. Particularly for Grapple Live.
There you go. That's the place to see it. We are trying to bump those YouTube numbers up so I can brag more to YouTubers when I meet them in the street. That's the main reason, to be honest. But it will be helpful. Obviously, we'd like to see the video versions get near what the audio versions do. But yeah, obviously you can join as a member on the YouTube as well and get it all. WCW Bash at the Beach 96 end of the month with me, Matty, and Hamflet. Connor's King of the Mountain coming up on the Super J Cup, and of course the 5-1 we recorded at the weekend is up there as well. But yeah, as always, thank you to our patrons and YouTube members for keeping the lights on and keeping us going. Thank you to our live patrons and live YouTube members for staying up with us on a late night tonight. And of course, thank you to our Patreon Kings and Queen of the Mountain, Conor Laughlin, Eddie Sarburns, Chris Platt, Carl Gack, Sophia Hitchcock, Sam Mulvaney, and Marty Ellis. But yeah, anything else to say, JP, before we get out of here?
All I've got to say is, whoop that trick.
Good night.
Boom, 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 boom. Whoop that trick, 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 whoop that trick,
Went on a bit, didn't he? Good night, all.